Chiefs lineup when they did pick up that.
I was wondering whether you were going to
just
mention
walking underneath the ribbon, but it certainly was a
gosh.
very good play in Destiny. I know you have a little bit to say about Chip. He's making his OPL debut on a new team.
Yeah, he's had a lot of experience playing on Best Players Ocean. He's also had a lot of LAN experience in a local New Zealand tournament, so I'm keen to see how he goes tonight.
Yeah, I certainly am as well. You know, Chippies was always one of those mainstays in the OPL scene that just never really got that call out. Tonight, he does get it. And, of course, you can't mention new players, I guess, without going back to an old player in Strawbella who's making another appearance now, this time for Legacy as a substitute. Maybe the meta suits are a little bit better this time around, Atlas?
Yeah, I'm actually excited about this because she pulled out the Trundle support before it was even a thing.
Before it was cool.
Exactly. Very excited to see how that one works. But, of course, I don't know how her playstyle is going to mesh with King there in the bottom lane. Of course, King probably practicing a little bit more with Regret 9, formerly Flying Dew. And we'll see whether, this is going to be a thing that they can work out. Because King, very, very aggressive. Strawbella, not so much. Known for Nami, Janna, Trundle, like these sort of disengage-based supports, and we'll see how they do against Cardred and Rogue.
And maybe some shot calling missing as well, Destiny. I know you were saying that Dew likes to control that bottom lane. Is that going to put more pressure on Carbon?
Yeah, I think Carbon's going to have to step it up in this best of 3, especially without Dew. Dew's a very vocal player. He's a key player in their team. So Strawbella really has to step it up, so does Carbon.
Yeah, and we keep talking about this battle on the Rift, and I want to take a step back now for 1 second because both of these teams very vocal about the support staff coming in, especially Sin picking up a new analyst and coach going into that relegation series last year.
Yeah, they actually got Bensel, this guy over from, he actually lives here in Sydney, but he was coaching for the Giants in Europe, who were an LCS team a little while ago, if you guys can cast your minds back. But he helped get them out of relegation. He was also a chess coach. This guy has a whole lot of experience, and they've been incredibly vocal with how much this guy's been helping the team and how good it's been to have his voice really controlling how they get their team together. And they've been practicing so very much. And with his added guidance, you have to think that it's probably helping them out a whole lot.
Yeah, of course. We had Minky Whale from Legacy on the desk yesterday. He's much newer to the coach position, but has been a mainstay on the Legacy lineup for quite some time. This is the second time he's been replaced by Tally. You have to remember, he took a step back. And, this time very voluntary. So, there's a little bit of difference here because I know that we always talk about what teams do setting up, but for the first time, Legacy, they've set up a gaming house in their boot camps. Who comes out ahead in that one as a player there, do you think, Destiny?
I'd probably have to lean to Legacy just because Minky Whale's staying with them. I think it's a lot easier to coach a team if you're with them, so you can straight out tell them in person rather than online, like Bensel's been doing.
Yeah, and he certainly has been very vocal about that, saying that he likes to be the person that kind of leads these conversations. From everything we've heard, coming into this matchup, Legacy are incredibly confident. I think it was Carbon that tweeted out today about the hyperbolic chime chamber. He's looking to put some moves on some people, and it's going to be good to see a very confident Legacy lineup, someone that we've maybe even picked to be able to take the whole thing, burst onto Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this. And Spawn, one thing I want to mention is we can talk about the support stuff. We can talk about Sin's new coach, the fact that this guy's got a lot of experience, a lot of really strong experience, but can you really do much against this massive team that you can see in Legacy? Picking up King, arguably a huge addition to the roster. We saw Direwolves last night, still doing well, but if King was on the lineup, you have to think even better. So it's going to be definitely an uphill battle for this squad, but a good test to see them out in the Rift this first game that they've been in.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, we can't talk about the strengths of the team without hitting on the weaknesses. People have been pointing towards Cardred, pointing towards the likes of Juves as maybe being exploitable in the Sin lineup. Destiny, going into a game, is there the players you'll be targeting?
Yeah, I'd definitely look at Juves here. If Carbon can outdo the map in terms of vision, as well as the experience he's had more experience. Also, the King-Cardred matchup. Just off mechanics, I think King has an upper hand here.
Yeah, he certainly does. Maybe even in the aggression category as well. King, very in your face as an AD carry, likes to swing that matchup. In the jungle meta, we talk about Carbon being a very safe jungler at the moment, but that was because the meta suited him. He was a big Lee Sin, big Rengar player, likes of Graves on Summoner's Rift Atlas, looking for this guy to have a very strong showing at the start.
Yeah, of course. Carbon was a poppy jungler. Like, this guy can do all of it. I'm really excited to see whether he brings something mental onto the Rift. But if you look back at his style, of course, played a heck of a lot of Nunu. Of course, there's Mundo as well. I mean, this guy is really huge in the meta at the moment. He did play a lot of him back in the day. So Carbon, with the fact that he has so much experience, there's sort of no jungler that, if he ever was in the jungle, Carbon's played him. The Graves, I have a feeling he's definitely been practicing the champion. We'll see whether he's got it up to snuff for this particular patch that we're on at the moment. But look, I have high hopes for Carbon in this matchup, and Juves, there's a lot on his shoulders this time around.
Yeah, there certainly is. And, Juves, to his credit, has been very vocal, has put a lot of work in the last month to try and get himself better. He's a good Lee Sin player in his own right, probably his best champion, so we'll see whether he can rise to that occasion. But it's the likes of Kindred, the likes of Grave, maybe even that Poppy that you spoke to on this patch 6.1 that I'm very excited to see, as well as some flex picks in the top lane, because, we've talked about how they might go back to tanks, but Lissandra is running around, Poppy's in the top lane. If you were going to pick out of Chippies and Tally, Destiny, who you think is going to go for the aggressive style in this game, who do you think it would be?
I think it'd be more of Chippies. I think if Tally was to play aggressive, they'd have a triple threat team comp, unless they put Strawbella on like a passive support. So I'm most likely seeing Chippies play aggressive.
All right, cool. Certainly sounds good. So maybe see Chippies go towards that aggressive. Maybe even Kadra go back to something like Corki, a little bit safer as an AD carry. Of course, when he was on the Legacy lineup all those years ago, was certainly something that he liked to stay with. And, coming into this match, everyone's been very vocal that without regret, this is much closer to call. And a lot of it will come down to the pick bans. We've seen what the priority is on. Things like Lissandra are seeing a much more play outlets just because the AD carry junglers aren't bringing the same amount of CC. In the mid lane, Choose has always been very flexible on these champions, but his Syndra is also back in meta.
Yeah, his Syndra's back in meta. I want to talk about the fact that last year in the grand final, Choose was already playing that Lissandra, more than happy to pick up that champion. So, of course, having these flex picks is definitely a good idea. I want to talk about even more flexes that Sin have going on, though, because the fact that Chippies almost demands an Aurelia ban is a bit interesting, right? But they most often flex it into the mid lane. Of course, Rymeister plays that champion as well. Of course, Aurelia mid is an interesting beast. We saw Faker playing it at Worlds. It was just completely dominant. But with that level of flexibility, I mean, they've got the Trundle they can flex all around the Rift. They've got the Lissandra, obviously, as well, and they've got the Aurelia. This is going to be really, really important as far as the draft phase is concerned, because we haven't even mentioned the likes of these OP picks, like the Gangplank, things like that.
Yeah, Gangplank certainly seeing a lot of pick bans. So maybe we're seeing a dominant top half of the Rift on the side of Sin versus a very well-rounded Summoner's Rift on the side of Legacy. So certainly should be good coming into this one. If I had to get your predictions going down the line, gentlemen, Atlas, who takes this one and what is the scoreline?
Oh, scoreline. Look, I want it, like, the dream would be the 2-1 in favor of Legacy because Regret 9 comes back and saves the day, game number 3. I mean, I think that's the dream. I have a prediction that it's probably going to be 2-0, though, in Legacy's favor. They just have so much experience.
Destiny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd have to go for the 2-0 for Legacy. They're just experienced veterans. They've got a strong new roster. They've got the gaming house. They've got the support. I think that they can clean sweep this.
Well, there you go, guys. You've heard from our experts. Now let's hear from our casters. Pastry Time and Rusty are on side to get us onto Summoner's Rift.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's going to be a great day 2 here of week 1 of the OPL. My name is Pastry Time. Joining me once again is Rusty. We saw last night Dial was taking that 2-0 out. Now Legacy going to come up against Sin. Two fairly good teams. He plays quite nicely there in the latter half of last year, but we've heard the talk from the desk. Legacy just seems so prepared with this new gaming house, new roster. Everything's going their way.
Easy to say that, though. Definitely easy to say that Legacy look prepared. They are confident, but you can never write off Sin because I've never seen a team more confident than them coming into this.
That's certainly true. Well, we'll see who's more confident, at least here for Game 1 in the draft, as Legacy and Sin are going to take 2 champs. Select Alistar, going to be the first ban away there by Legacy. And there's Gangplank, so pretty standard stuff so far.
Of course, getting rid of the very strong normal champions. Alistar actually the most played support at the moment, not necessarily the most banned, but internationally in every major region has been played quite substantially the most amount.
Yep, makes sense. Very popular, good playmaking support. Real nice and tanky as well, because we've seen too many AD carries, it feels like, on Summoner's Rift in recent memory. Now 5 seconds left for Legacy. Taking their time with these bans. You can tell again, Coach Mickey behind them. It's Zach, actually, that they target.
This is not something that you'll see in any other region, really, just yet. But I'm going to call it the Oceanic Special in terms of junglers. We saw it yesterday from Sybil. Not surprised if Juves and Carbon both know about that champion, because Zach is a beast.
Yep, and Lulu is going to get banned away. Malphite, actually, so lots of tanks or tank enablers sort of being taken out here. Sin do have 1 more ban left, of course. And there it is. And Nivea, whoa! That's a different one.
It's a control mage that honestly suits the current meta because we've seen everyone likes the lane swap where they like to take outer turrets early, then move towards that middle lane. And Nivea are very good at denying that for a very, very long time. So thankfully they've gotten rid of that option. Evidently Choo Choo's plays it.
Well, got to win that wave kill war perhaps, as we'll see what happens here. Legacy, 35 seconds now to decide exactly what they want here. Tally going going to pick up a champion for his team. Nothing obviously open here at this point. Rise maybe probably the biggest one though.
Rise is massive. Tom Kench is also something worth considering for this Legacy roster, as is this.
There it is. Graves' first pick.
Third most played champion in the jungle at the moment as well. Graves, very good to see that one picked up by Legacy Carbon. He's been practicing it.
Certainly has.
Seems to be confident enough to want to play that in the OPL as well in his first match, so we'll see how he
I
goes.
feel like we always get a different Carbon depending on the match. Sometimes he's, playing the Nunu, control, just farming away, making sure he has all the entrances watered and he's got good vision for his team. And sometimes Carbon just plays Lee Sin and kills people. I feel like we're more on the Lee Sin spectrum this time.
We're on the Lee Sin Rengar side of Carbon's spectrum. That is definitely true. And of course, the meta's suiting it. I think aggressive jungle is the way that it's going at the moment. So good to see them keeping up with the meta. Of course, we are in 6.1, so aggression's still very prevalent.
Yep, Carbon loves to fight people in his jungle, so we'll see if he can get it done there with Graves' Chippies. Is considering that Aurelia pick, but is going to swap it away. Elise and Dr. Mundo are the first two picks in. Nice and solid.
Yeah, and I've always wondered why people seem to go for the Graves over that of Elise or even Rek'Sai, which is one of the most popular at the moment. And Graves provides a little bit more damage in a physical direction and wave clear. That's the biggest thing that Graves can provide. So looking at lane swap scenarios, you'd actually favor having a Graves on your team solely because he can help cover waves, he can help deny the opposition team from taking down turrets, and that might be what it's indicating here for Legacy. Sin's draft though, having the Mundo and having an Elise, that is a very difficult.
It's a great start for sure. And you have to think that mid-jungle synergy is going to be important for both these teams. So we've seen the Rymeister Juice combo constantly playing together. Oh, Choo-Choo's obviously, Graves the gate person, great champion to gank your lane for the damage he adds. So if Choo-Choo's does play even a control mage or a good solid CC, could we see some aggression around that in that 2v2 matchup we might be expecting?
100%, whatever lane he has to gank essentially needs to have crowd control.
Well, there's Lysandra Trundle, so crowd control ahoy for Legacy as they do pick up two very solid flex picks.
Yeah, so they've gone for the Lysandra. Choo-Choo's, we have seen him be able to play it. It's good in the top lane as well. Trundle, also very good in the top lane. Can be played jungle if you're feeling a little bit creative. Of course, Graves is there. And mostly played in support. Strawbella has got a history of playing this champion.
It's true. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the Graves flex potentially as well. We haven't really seen it in AD carry, but anyone was going to do it. It's probably going to be King. So lots of options here for Legacy as Sin Gaming. Jana Lucian, actually, they're two pickups there. So Rogue actually is going to more of those passive supports. Actually almost a pick away from Strawbella.
Yeah, so looking at the Sin team composition so far, I'm going to have to question their engage tools. They're looking at Mundo Cleavers and a Cocoon.
Yep.
That's basically it, and a Cleaver's not going to engage. So whatever their last champion's going to be, and you would have to say it's for Rymeister, he may as well lock in Annie and go Distortion Boots first item at this stage, because they need something to actually cement an engage for them.
Certainly do. Well, we'll see what Sin do take for their last pick, but Legacy are looking to round out their team comp here. Got King flashing Cogmore here. I've seen a little bit of play here and there. Does like his hyper carries, does King, but I imagine it's just a couple of placement picks here while they decide where they really want to take the last few picks of the draft.
Yeah, still a lot of options available for them. We don't even know what lanes they're actually going to lock in until they pull the trigger. So 5 seconds remaining. We'll see what they go for.
I think it's going to be Timo. There we go. Swap away. And there's Ezreal Fiora going to round things out here. So could be anywhere. But I'd imagine Ezreal AD carry, Fiora top, Lysandra mid.
Yeah, you're looking at Lysandra mid, Fiora top lane. They know that it's going to be assumedly into the Mundo as well, so Fiora picked for the purpose of, I'm going to say, a counter matchup, and that's why.
We're done. I mean, you talked about Anivia before. I had Ziggs on the brain, but that's actually picked here by Rymeister.
That's not engage, I can tell you that much.
No, it's not. That's more poke.
I feel like Sin have one strategy, and that is frustrate Legacy into forfeiting.
I mean, they've got Cleavers, Cocoons, plenty of poke from Ziggs, Lucian, Jonathan, Peel. It's kind of a poke comp here.
It's a poke comp. They've got a hint of siege in the poke comp. I feel like they're very good at disengaging as well to an extent and looking more to let Legacy pull the trigger and then turning it back around. So no defined engage tools for this Sin lineup. It does do a lot of damage. That's the important thing to take away from this. So you're looking at capitalizing on vision and Legacy making a mistake for it to actually work in their favor.
We did see a little bit of this yesterday in the Dial series there versus Infernum. The poke comps, the siege comps can drag on a bit.
Definitely
Potentially.
Well, Ziggs is designed to go to about. It's like the Anivia, basically.
Well, you can see the two team lineups there. Make sure to get on Twitter, of course, and use those hashtags LGCwin or SinWin for either Legacy or Sin. And, of course, use the hashtag IamOPL while you're out there in the Twitterverse. But pretty interesting drafts there. I think Legacy, pretty standard, just taking the strong champions, drafting flexibly, and a pretty focused comp, I have to say, for Sin.
Absolutely right. Sin, they have one defined purpose, and they have very limited amount of win conditions, but The one that they have, they do very well, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Legacy, a little bit more versatile with the way they can play. They've got split push options in the middle and top lane, and damage across the map.
Well, with that, we are going to get a bit of a word from Carbon before we get into our match.
Sin Gaming never stops scrimming. Most teams have taken a break over the summer, a long break, and then come back to it. Sin Gaming never stopped. They've been working really, really hard pre-season and all throughout last year to be prepared for this year. However, from what I've seen so far, they haven't actually made much improvement.
That
was... I was like, oh, that's... Oh.
Yeah, it was being really nice.
And then at the end there, plot twist.
They work hard, but they don't seem to be focused in that hard work, according to Carbon, if he thinks they've stayed the exact same.
Well, let's see if Sin can round those words right back down his throat here in Game 1 as we are onto the Rift for Legacy versus Sin. But like we imagined, really, confident talk there from Carbon because his team certainly seems to have powered up, making the finals, of course, last year and now into the gaming house and even more focused than before. We'll see if whose preparation might be better for this first one. Is it the Legacy Gaming House or the Sin very hard work ethic?
It's going to be hard to say until we see what happens here. Is Sin, they've put some wards down deep. They've got that vision set up, but of course Legacy going to know exactly where they are because they've done the same thing. So able to react accordingly here, the Sin Gaming lineup. I mean the Legacy lineup, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of a streak of wards all the way down the Rift here. There's even two next to each other there. As Sin are going to spot that the bottom lane is on the Krogs. That does, of course, give us a lane swap situation by the looks of things. Chippies and Juves going to do some jungling together. Rogue, going to go ahead and check that jungle and annoy Carbon and Tally. And we've already got card resolution up in the top side. So Rogue is going to get annoying here. Don't know if he can get anything. He's going to get one. That's actually a good amount of gold here. But I can't imagine he's going to get the blue and is going to get smited away.
He wants this one too. Here we go.
Oh, Tally just gets it, I believe.
Janna with the shield does a fair bit of damage at level 1, you'll have to say. Being a very big pest, but in saying that, 20 gold, not too bad to put that in the back pocket. Saves a bit of experience as well, not going to the jungle and top lane duo of Legacy. A small victory, but then tanks a turret in response because wants to show off.
Well, a bit worthwhile, certainly, at least on the minion steal. Astravella going to look to do the same. He's probably not going to get the blue. But he's going to look for it. Can just slap something down. Does get one.
Nailed it.
Not going to get two. So supports on either side, actually. Collecting some early jungle here. Always nice.
Giant pests. That's exactly what that was. Of course, yes, matched at the moment in that lane swap. Something we actually predicted a little bit from Legacy. Sin are the ones to put that into effect, though, as they're now trying to work towards their strong side of the jungle, naturally, towards that top lane. They've got an Elise and Mundo, so very good at taking down turrets. They've got auto-attack resets, attack steroids as well with the attack speed from Elise W. They should get it down relatively quickly.
Well, you can see Kadra and Rogue have certainly been pushing up here in the top side nice and aggressively, so we'll see how that all works out. Rhymemeister currently sitting under his turret, leaving the lane in a pretty nice place here, just trying to pretty much get out of the way, really, of Choo Choo. He's got plenty of long range there on Ziggs as King and Tally now, actually, with a few more to come, actually going to start pushing this really far down and trying to take the turret.
I will tell you one thing, though. Playing against the Ziggs is one of the near most tilting experiences for a mid laner in the entire world, because no matter how good or bad you do in that lane, he's just going to sit there and hit minions, and he's just going to wave clear, and if you try and hit him, he'll poke you down because you're next to a minion.
Yep, well, does have a teleport there for Chu, so might look to make plays on the other areas of the map. Rhymemeister, of course, very conservative with the summoner spells, does have heal, actually, so isn't going to die anytime soon. That's, like you mentioned, sort of Ziggs' job in mid lane, but towers are starting to get traded. Sin took theirs, and Legacy should be able to get this nice and quickly. Just going to try and deny a few more CS off and then take that for themselves. So really, 4 minutes in, 1 turret apiece. Where do we go from here, Rusty?
So you'll see Ezreal's going to go back, recall, most likely get his Tear of the Goddess, and work towards the other side of the map. I'd be very surprised if they stay in this duo lane. Relative power spikes don't actually favor Legacy in the 2 versus 2 at the moment, pretty much because of the fact that they've got a tier compared to longswords from this Lucian.
Yep, now Choo Choo is going to return himself in. Actually does use the port quite early. Has himself a Ruby and a Sapphire Crystal, so looks like early Catalyst, probably Rod of Ages coming out there for Lissandra as he pulls the wave off. Has spotted Choo Choo's level 2, actually.
Yeah.
That is very low early on.
Yeah, he's not exactly leveled, to say the least. Carbon even level 3 at the moment. Is a very good self-sufficient jungler, Elise and Graves, but one just does it a little bit quicker because of all of his burst. Juves has spent a lot more time focusing near the bottom side of the map, kind of put a deep ward down and has spent more time controlling the map than actually last hitting, whereas Carbon focusing on getting those last hits. And look at the farm difference.
Yeah, already. 17-6 as Juves is sort of scrounging around in the lane swap. And he did push in quite early. Sin got the first turret, but could cost him here as King getting some nice hits down. Juves will come into the lane though. But again, level 4 to level 3. Legacy's duo lane probably not particularly worried here.
No, not at all. They can just sit in the 2 versus 2 even with the Elise and Mundo. The fact that they're drawing pressure here and bringing Juice here is just giving vision of where the Elise is on the map. Unlocks Carbon's capabilities to invade a little bit further and just continue to be that massive pest that Graves is. Because if he catches you out of position in the jungle and gets that buckshot off, you lose so much health.
And there you go, Juves now coming in. End of the line comes through as well. Juves taking a whole host of damage, and Carbon might just get in for it. The auto got cancelled after that flash. Well played there by Juves to get out.
The auto attack actually hitting the Spiderling as well. So unfortunate for Carbon, but he wasn't going to get the kill, I'd have to say, on Juves. It would have been 2 auto attacks. Forcing the flash though, as we mentioned. Juves shows himself in the top lane to help Chippies. Carbon's immediate response, place vision, catch him out of position.
And we talked about it, that jeweler-style jungler that Graves can be. You can see in terrain how quickly you take damage against Graves' Q. Carbon really cementing his dominance over this top half of the map. And look at the amount of legacy wards that are already in that top left-hand side.
Yeah, Juves thankfully hasn't got jungle camps to take in there. You would have to say he's very aware of that fact and needs to be in the bottom side of the map. You can see a ping already. Blind, they don't have vision, but they know that's where he should be, because if he's not there, they're about to spot him.
Yep, Carbon's up top. In fact, Choo Choo's is coming in here as well. They're all going for the roam, and this looks like a dive
on
being
Juves.
set up by Legacy. Juve's going to get caught out again here. Ulti in from Choo Choo's. Looks to be first blood, and Choo Choo's will collect it. Now Rogue in trouble there as the NATO does hit onto 2. He's going to have to get under the turret, will get to safety. But a nice roam there from the Legacy foursome.
And I'm going to have to say this is an oversight again from Juves. What is he going to achieve by walking through his jungle to get to the top lane? If his goal is to get to that top lane, he should go through the lane to get there. If he's looking to farm, go to where the farm is free to take. You've watched Carbon just out-trade you 1 versus 1 in your own jungle. You know it's warded.
Yeah, unfortunately, his jungle is in fact lit up like a Christmas tree. His Carbon's going to take away his red buff now as well. So insult to injury being added here by the Legacy jungler, who is back in fight mode, it feels like.
He is the big man fighter at the moment. That is for sure. Carbon stepping up at the moment in this early game. It's nice to see a reinvigorated Legacy jungler.
Yep, he's level 5 to level 4 now, so still keeping that XP advantage. Still in top lane, King pestering poor Chippies here with all these Qs. And is actually getting good damage down to the turret. That's about 50% of its health already gone. Chippy's not going to get that health back as Chu's now returning to that mid lane. Rymeister, in and amongst all the chaos, is thankfully able to get a blue buff. But he's just sitting in mid right now. That's all Ziggs can really do in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you know what? Believe it or not, there was a Korean, and I'm absolutely forgetting whose name it was, said that Ziggs is really good in the current patch because you can go for the Frost Queen's claim. No one can ever catch you in the middle lane, and you're really good at hitting those spells that are sometimes very hard to hit because of the slow.
And then you do plenty of damage. So we can see the Frostfang there in Rymeister's inventory. That's going to be versus the Rod of Ages on the way for Choo Choo's as well, but they'll have their items finished relatively early here as we do BF Sword as well, as there's Sheen for King, so early 80 items also coming out. Looks like Essence Reaver versus that standard blue build for Ezreal. Again, a lot of the same stuff we've been seeing recently.
This is a weird rotation, I'm going to have to say, from Cardred as well as Rogue. He kind of just walked mid and said, oh wait, why did I click mid lane? I must have did it on my minimap. And started to work towards another side of the map. Choo Choo's could be flanked. I mean, it's a Ziggs, so their kill threat is going to be very low. And I'm not entirely sure why they're wasting all this time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his ulti, got his flash. Choo Choo's probably fairly safe here. Tally also happily looks like he's freezing that bottom half of the lane, or at least keeping it pretty far back and just collecting CS. It's even between Chippies and Tally right now, but Tiamat already up for that Fiora. That farm's starting to come in quick.
This is amazing. The blind vision right now. So Sin have no vision. They're going to go for the dragon. They're not actually able to farm in the bottom lane because they don't know where Carbon is on this Graves. He's level 6. He can destroy anyone. And so you've just watched Cardred walk mid, go for the Scuttle Crab, then go for dragon, and waste near to a minute whilst Ezreal is just free farming in that top lane.
Yep, you can see King, who doesn't really miss last hits, is keeping that CS lead, but the dragon does go to Sin. Cardred will actually collect the last hit on it. Carbon a little late there to check that objective out, but we'll at least know that it's gone now. As Chippy's forced back here, does have his TP, but still the Legacy duo lane continues to hammer this tower.
And you would have to say one more time, why haven't they rotated now after the dragon to give Mundo the freeze and put the 2v2 into the top lane? This is probably the optimal move for them because they'll get farm into a somewhat decent lane for the Lucian and the Janna, you'd have to say. They're good at poking. They can wave clear and prevent this turret from going down and stop that global gold from snowballing.
Well, instead, Strawbella and King just going to team up, slap this one down. Looking to be a pretty early turret. Rhymaster will use the ulti. That's good damage, actually, Strawbella. And you're going to eat more turret hits as well, but does put the traffic cone up. Will stay alive. And that's ulti down for Rymeister.
That was good from Strawbella to get out and also dodge the cleaver that Chippies was going to throw. But Sin, they show they've got the means to get rid of some waves if you continue to pester. Very long cooldown on that Ziggs ultimate though, and Chippies didn't get the farm.
Well, did not. And you can see that more people rotating up now for Sin. There's 4 of them currently in the top side of the map, and King, he'd be in a bit of trouble here, but probably not too worried here as Ezreal with all his summoners up.
Yeah, it's one of those Ezreal things, you know.
He's going to spot them all now. They'll throw a Q out. We'll lose that pink ward, although they are going to fight. Rogue's only level 4. Cardra level 7. Strawbella might turn it around, and this could be the play. June could be maybe caught, forced to repel off to a minion. Choo Choo's in. Does get the snare in. Ulti down as well. King collects it.
And this is one more time. 4 members of Sin have rotated, but Tally and Choo Choo's use their teleport at the same spot. And immediately it feels like walking to these locations and wasting all of this time inefficiently doesn't compare to the teleport to be there immediately. And they die for it. They don't even get an even trade.
Nope, just another kill there, as poor Juves has died twice now. A kill for the mid lane and the AD carry. Probably the 2 people you don't want the gold on as Rymeister. Trying to kick the Legacy members out of his jungle. End of the line is down. Carbon going to go in for it. Ulti's big. Rymeister does get tagged, but he will not go down. Instead, they'll just steal the Raptor and continue to apply pressure.
Lots of damage from the Graves. Has the Hunter's Potion as well, so never going to lose health. In fact, I question even having it at all. Doesn't really need it. That poke is massive, though. They need to be careful because Rymeister's ultimate is not far away.
Certainly not. This is the comp here for Sin. They'll group back, maybe try and get some damage done here on the mid tower. Legacy with a nice little transition to mid. Did get some damage done, but like we've seen time and time again with all these wave clear mid laners, it is awfully hard to take out the mid outer.
It definitely is, and of course the Sandra versus Ziggs makes it near impossible to boot. I really like the itemization choice as well from Chippies here, going for that Sunfire cape. Helps with the wave clear, should be able to stop Fiora, thwart any kind of aggressive split-pushing activities that Tally will try to put into effect. And Sin, they've made a rotation here. Yep,
going for Harold the Herald. Will be taken out here. Who are they going to give it to, though? Might be Cardra, could be Juves. Is going to be Cardra, so they'll look to push maybe mid, actually, with the buff, but...
Rip Harold. Poor man.
Not many good targets, unfortunately. I mean, 2-1 currently in towers, of course. Legacy having that lead, having both outers on the opposite sides of the map completed. King's even going to use that ulti. Who's he looking for? Might be Juves in the jungle. Might just be with some vision. Does find it. Doesn't steal it, though. We'll see that Juves got it.
Did a lot of damage to Juves, I will have to say. You know what's unfortunate, Pastry Time?
What is unfortunate, Rusty?
Harold's a squatter. Like, he shouldn't be treated affectionately. But because we've gave him a name like Harold, he's treated affectionately. Chippy's just got that blue, too.
That's all good. Speaking of unfortunate things, not where you want your blue buff to go, but Mundo does have it now. Rymeister probably going to be a tad irked that he will not collect that buff, at least this rotation.
It's because you're related to Harold the Giraffe.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That was my immediate point of reference. I'm glad we're in the same position there. As King is pushing down with that Iceborne Gauntlet now completed. Rod of Ages charging up for Choo Choo's there as well. And the Hydra on the way there for Tally. Probably going to do the sneaky transition off to Ravenous, but has a Sherm's Fist now. Just for a bit of extra health.
Yeah, I really like that. Of course, 0 gold to change between both of the Hydras. Good decision to get for laning phase.
Yeah, and mid push here with the Rift Herald buff, but not that easy, really. Wave clear still works just as well, and remember, those are not super pumped up minions on the defensive side, just the offensive.
Yeah, they hurt, but they cannot take any hurting themselves. As again, Choo Choo's, he's got wave clear on this Lissandra. King's always going to be on call with the Ezreal True Shot Barrage, if need be. Sin, they really want this turret, though. They've made the right move. They've got the Rift Herald buff to hurt the turret. But now that Carbon's here as well, watch the wave clear. Like, they need to force them off.
Oh, they do actually force them off with the culling. Nice play there from Sin. They'll cover the escape with the Tornado as well. But Legacy are looking to go in. Ulti out, but it goes wide there from Carbon. Now Juice potentially caught a Strawbella, pops up the pillar. 3v5 under the tower was pretty manly.
Yeah.
But Sin get what they want.
So this was a good rotation from Sin because Tally's freezing the top lane. He's got the massive stack of minions just to sit there. And actually, this is very good.
No freeze now.
He's going to have to tank all of them if he wants to freeze, and this is for a very extended period of time. But Ziggs not having the ultimate could hurt them here.
Certainly could, as Rymaster's low on mana as well. Not getting that blue buff really starting to hurt. As Legacy do want to make a play on the mid. They'll back away, though.
He's still frozen.
And yep, Tally going to sit here and just get bigger and bigger. We've talked a lot about ticking time bombs in the top lane recently. Dr. Mundo and Fiora certainly qualify, but they do kind of go in opposite directions.
They definitely do. One can deal a lot of damage. One deals a surprising amount of damage, but doesn't die in the Mundo. So, different style of play. We'll see them probably impact team fights the same way. It's just that Tally has to be a little bit more careful with when he picks his moment. In saying that, so does most of Legacy, and I'd be surprised if Tally doesn't commit to the Titanic Hydra, because they need a little bit of a complementary tank.
Yep.
An off-tank, essentially, to work with the Lysandra and the Trundle.
Yep. Looking to be a little squishy, perhaps, as Rogue is going to clear out that pink ward. Dragon is back alive, so if Sin would like to claim their second, they've got the option to do so now. Legacy, of course, could opt in to a fight, but Dragon not seeing nearly as much love, but still an important objective. If nothing else, it eventually creates pressure for you, but still the wave clear there for Choo-Choo's. No tower to protect, but sitting there farming away happily.
Yeah, we should commit to calling the Dragon something affectionate.
We do. He needs a name.
Dazzler just doesn't do it. Like, it's Aussie slang great, but Dazzler's just, it doesn't cut it.
Well, we'll have to brainstorm.
It's too blokey.
I don't know, he's pretty fierce. Look at him. See if he's going to start the Dragon. The yet unnamed Dragon.
Darren.
Oh.
Why not?
Well, they're going to take the Dragon. Name to be decided here. As
just
Sin
tweet
do
that
collect
at
their
pastry
second.
time.
What?
Tweet that at pastry time. You need to
Yes,
convince him.
please tweet your suggestions for the Dragon name.
Oh, Carvin's got him.
Yeah, Rymaster could be in trouble here. Thunderlord to a proc. Damage is good. Ulti is not there as the heal does pop.
Ult doesn't connect from Carbon. Very close, but a lot of damage as both summoners from this Ziggs has been forced. He needs to be a little bit more careful now and maybe not go for those Raptors at every opportunity to buffer his farm amount.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to Grove's Jungle, really.
Yeah.
He has 82 to 33 CS.
Yeah.
And I only just noticed that differential. Talked about Carbon, one in the jungle to pants off old Juves. Certainly doing it here in game number 1.
We're looking at a difference near across the board here in farm values besides that middle lane, which is to be expected because it's a Ziggs. So Legacy doing well, exceptionally well in the jungle. The top lane 30 CS ahead, and the AD carries even finding an advantage for King. And he's still scaling at one of his items. Choo-Choo's.
It's kind of chilling out.
Fair enough.
Does get himself over the pit, though. It takes a pretty massive face full of damage for it, but he'll be okay for now. Legacy again trying to group up, but Rymaster, the mid-outer turret gatekeeper, will not let it go down.
Definitely not. It's like Azir all over again. When you place down your own turret as Azir, this is yours, and you will die for it. Ziggs does that with every objective he stands in front of.
Well, maybe going to have to see the Ziggs ban as well. Anivia was taken away, but looks like Anivia Light in some ways is picked up by Sin. They're doing a nice job protecting some of their structures. Two apiece, actually, as far as that goes. Legacy, of course, with those first few kills, give themselves about 2,000 gold ahead, but Sin do have some Dragons, so relatively even here. Almost 20 minutes into the game, starting to ramp up into a pretty explosive mid-game.
Yeah, we're looking at a pretty dangerous mid-game for both of these teams. Juves is always going to be the biggest point of concern. I like that he's gone straight for the tank items, though. There's no real purpose in being the offensive build when you're already this far behind, whereas Carbon, he can afford to do so because he's a Graves anyway.
Now he's going for the blue.
The blue.
Is he going to get it this time? Well, sail's over. Going to be close.
He
got it. Rymeister, second time in a row, gets denied.
King is definitely timing these buffs really well. It goes to show Legacy as a whole, whether it's shot calling from Carbon, letting them know where it is, or if it's Choo-Choo saying my Ziggs is missing, he's probably doing blue. He's at least hit someone or been close every time.
Carbon in trouble though. Ulti up from Ziggs will land as Chippies is going to chase in. Gets ulted up but pops his ulti in the trade. Now Bella has to try and move them up. But Tally's gone in. A great tornado there from Rogue. Going to force him to lunge out of the way. And Legacy forced to burn cooldowns there just to keep everybody safe.
And of course, Graves, a very low-range champion. You need to be careful in situations like that if you don't know if they have vision. Gets a bit caught out. Cops a Ziggs ultimate. And a fair chunk of poke, tries to use his own to disengage, but actually goes into the wall. So not a great situation for Legacy. They're still going to be okay. They don't actually lose anything from it.
Yep, you can see King actually getting aggressive. Nice arcane shift out from under that Q. But Blue Buff Ezreal continuing to be annoying. He's pretty much just a mid laner now.
Speaking of annoying mid laners, look at Ziggs' item build.
Morella Nomicon at Frost Queen's Claim. That is an awful lot of CDR.
That's CDR and mana regen. everywhere that you look.
I mean, he's not been getting blue buffs.
Like, decently efficient items of their own accord, but putting them together is not great, especially if you do get the blue buffs, right? Saving Grace, amazingly, that they got stolen from him, so he's still going to have mana at all times.
Yep.
I'm not going to call it efficient, though.
Well, certainly a decent early game build, but not slot efficient, that's for sure. As Harold does say goodbye for now, Baron will reclaim his quarters in that pit. Is now an objective, of course, that the teams can consider in the next 5 to 10 minutes, if not sooner. But right now, it is setting up some split pushes. It feels like people are still scrounging for farm on either side. But Legacy's starting to play forward up in this top side of the jungle, looking for this tier 2.
See, Baron's just so regal of a name. Like, Dragon's just what it is.
It's a dragon, yeah.
Like, it's not a Baron, really, is it? Like, it's a
He's the Baron
purple earthworm that's oversized. Ate too much chicken.
I think he's the Baron of his, like, pit.
Yeah, like, Bazza is, again, it's like Dazza.
Please send all suggestions for your Baron name.
No, Baron works.
To
I like
Rusty
Baron.
Lawrence.
I
Okay.
like Baron because it is majestic. I don't like Dragon because it's just what it is.
All right, well, we'll have to sort it out. I'll get you onto creative, mate. Ooh, Ghostie's pop there. Choo Choo's going to go in. Ron's Rymeister up. Trick me. To do the sneaky little path away there. Does snare up the Ziggs as well, but Sinner on the offensive now.
Yeah, they don't have King.
Ooh,
Strawbella.
does get CC'd up there. Drews now could be in trouble. Rymeister ultied in the middle as well, but going to get himself out. Tally wants it to flash in. Will collect it. Now Drews off to the side. Going to get taken out by the Graves ulti, and Drews is still going forward. He wants to CC somebody else up. Chippies is going to eat the traffic cone. Now the slows are going to come in, but the Burning Agony helping out. The Q will be short, but Legacy collect 2 key kills there.
They find Choo-Choos to get the engage on Rymeister, and that is where it all started to go downhill for Sinners. Cardred's doing a lot of damage, but Tally also saved that riposte for as long as physically possible for that guy before he absolutely had to use it and gets out with his left. Legacy, they're going to continue to push the turrets right now. Sin going to try and defend them, but you can see on the other side of your screen, Tally gets the reset, and the health regeneration from that ultimate passive is just ridiculous. Doesn't need to riposte. They get out.
Dives in the top there as well. As Legacy are just charging down mid lane. Took out Cardred. And now took out the tier 2 in mid as well. 5-1 up in kills. 5 turrets to 2 as well. And all of a sudden that gold lead is starting to balloon out of control. King has to get out here. Does have his flash, excuse me.
Isn't it frustrating to watch?
The Ezreal? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just so hard to catch. King is going off right now. He's 2-0 with his 2 major items completed, working towards the next. Could be the Bloodthirst, it could be the Blade of the Ruined King, as a lot of other Ezreals have opted towards. And honestly, Cardred's trying his absolute best to keep up, but you cannot keep up with this King Ezreal.
And the farm advantage in general. Legacy just starting to snowball the game further and further ahead. Dragon 1 now going to come in for themselves, so a big boost to these mid-game stats here. 6,000 gold ahead at this point as well. You have to think Baron's going to be their next point they look at. And Legacy wants a fight, but I do not think Sin are ready.
Sin aren't really planning on fighting. They look to poke, they look to siege, and they look to disengage. But at any situation where a big 5 versus 5 breaks out, they run the risk of just outright being destroyed, because Choo-Choos, if the engage hits the right target and the burst from King and Carbon couples together, then they're down 1 member already. And from what we've seen in the past, in the last team fight, it was Rymeister. And that's not what you want to happen.
Can't be standing in the wrong spot here, especially without Cleanse or QSS coming out at this point. Choo-Choo's locking down whatever target he wants and finding pretty key ones as well.
Yeah.
But even if someone gets caught out, oh, good cocoon.
Sending a message.
Yeah, we'll delay Choo-Choo's for a while longer.
The message is that it's watered.
Yeah.
In case you were worried.
Well, King's still on top side as well. Go for Blade of the Ruined King actually for his 3rd item. So wants to be even more unkillable. If he wasn't annoying enough already.
So that frustrates me. What Juves just did there, you don't throw a cocoon at someone and not look to actually threaten a kill. You're better off not throwing it and making them question whether the vision's there. Because the first thing Legacy did was clear that bush.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. Juves maybe giving a little too much away as Legacy are continuing to pop pin cords into this red side jungle. That could be a catcher onto Rogue actually as King will eat a tornado. Going to throw a Q back there as Cardred pokes his head around the tree.
They're working around Tally in the bottom lane at the moment. 2 big items completed, very far ahead of Chippies, who, honestly, if they fight each other, there will be ultimates popped by Mundo defensively.
Yep, you can see there. Ooh, Gracefully Undying. Very nice there from Tally.
It's something we're seeing a lot more of, I would say.
Top lane Keystone Mastery seem to have shifted a bit. It's not just Thunderlords everywhere now.
So the rest of Legacy, as we mentioned, they were pushing bottom, focusing on Tally's strength, and then also threatening the top side of the jungle, which directly translates to that Baron area.
Well, you're going to put Sin to the test. They do pass. Chucking a ward there in the back, despite not having vision. Good awareness there from Sin to know that Baron was likely on the menu. Tally and Chippy still seem to be going at it. And Chippy is going to take a while to kill. I think the issue isn't can Tally kill Chippy, it's will he run out of mana before Chippies dies? Because he can kill him. It just takes a while.
Well, 2 levels the difference between the two, but as you said, Tally quite low on that mana. We'll have to go back to base and reset. Gives an opportunity for Chippies to catch up, only 1 level behind now. But the rest of Legacy still threatening the general Baron area and top side of the jungle.
Oh.
It's the worst. It's actually the worst.
Graves is mortal enemy, all the wards.
Pink wards are the actual mortal
Does
enemy.
clear them out though. Oh, raid boss pink wards. G's going to get smoke screened up there. There we go. Strawberry going to help out though. Good assist there. As Legacy are still grouping around the Baron area. They know they need to keep monopolized vision in this area. Spiderling coming in.
It's frustrating to watch almost because Sin don't have any pick. They need an Elise Cocoon to connect, and that is basically it. And then they're relying on raw damage to burst that target out.
Not too soft at this point are the targets as well. Plenty of ways to block damage or just be tanky here, even though the Legacy lineup has no real pure tank like you highlighted before. And Tally's back in the bottom lane starting that split push. Legacy, no, get the lanes pushing. King going to go back, spend some money. Blade's done. That Baron's going to drop even quicker now.
Yeah, so they're actually at a position where they can do the Baron very quickly, solely because that Blade is done. Working towards the Serix Gauge as well for Graves. So once that's completed, he's going to be infinitely tankier than he actually looks also. This Legacy side, it's an entire roster of pseudo-tanks, I'm going to say. They're not really tanks, but they have stats or kit that complements it. Tally's starting to build in that direction as well.
Yep, you can see Spectre's Cow completed there. So might be looking for a Spirit Visage perhaps to round out that CDR. Carbon though, going to shoot the Scuttle Crab. Poor Scuttle Crab has a real bad time against Graves.
Yeah, it's like crabs in general. They don't fight you.
Gromp, oop, Tally gets it. Carbon wanted it, but top lane will steal it away from him. Probably doesn't need the experience at this point. Level 12 for old Carbon. As Legacy now grouping towards the bottom side. Looks like they might have got the top pushing. And Chippy's going to take good damage. Lots of damage, actually. Carbon wants in. He goes straight for it. Choo-choo's, oh my god. Huge two-man stand. Massive self-ulti. And Rhymaster kind of misses with his big ulti there as well. King will collect the first kill onto Rogue and shift away. Has to be careful. Cleavers are coming.
King.
The heal does get popped. Legacy on the offensive.
This is a great situation for Legacy. Tally's not done.
He wants it. No, he's going to pop the repost there. Choo's going to go back in for it. Rhymaster caught out of position. Will get taken out. And Legacy dive through the tier 2 to collect a triple.
And this was just smart, quick rotations from Legacy. Sin were not there in time to defend. The tower goes down, but they dive before they even consider taking that turret. As this is now a 4-0-1 Ezreal, who is going insane.
And we're getting relatively close to 10k ahead here for Legacy. About 9k up at this point. They've just snowballed so well, and it's been calm play from them, to be honest. They've played calculated, and that's a scary thing to see from a side that with practice, and clearly it's been paying off in the early stages, looking to run over Sin perhaps here in game 1. That inhibitor's broken now. Sorry, inhibitor tower is broken. So an open pass there in the top side as well, and you know that Baron is the next big thing.
Yeah, so Tally, you'll most likely find him controlling the bottom lane as we're going to see this fight again. And it's pressure on a Chippies is what starts it all, but Choo-Choo finds his opening at the same time as Carbon putting down that burst. The self-ultimate was phenomenal from Choo-Choo's. Still has the Zonias to keep him alive. And the best part about this is they all ran through the turret and completely avoided Rymeister's ultimate on that Ziggs. They get the re-engage opportunity, and it's just Tally being a bit of a pest and poking it. Keep in mind, they've got King on this Ezreal, slowing them just perpetually slowed down. And it's so easy for Legacy to make these picks because their comp promotes it, and they've got the crowd control that's lacking from Sin's lineup.
Yep, we've seen Choo-Choo's play a lot of different champions in his lifetime. I feel like at one point he was almost pigeonholed into the assassin player.
He was the Z guy.
For me, the one thing I can associate with Choo's is Rhymaster barely collects his blue there. The thing I always associate with Choo's though is playmaking, and Lissandra's a great champion for that.
Yeah, Lissandra definitely playmaking. Gives Choo-Choo's the opportunity to go in whenever he deems fit. Of course, we know he just chooses his time and says, I'm going.
His team generally follows behind, as you can see. Synergy's certainly on point right now as end of the line does get popped up there for some boat. Carbon maybe a little too aggressive there, as that Pinkwood is denying a lot of vision out from Legacy. But Tally, who took the dragon by himself, is now pushing the bottom side as well. Ghost will get popped. Juice wants it, but you can on the Carbon. Damages in, but the Hex Trigger will get popped. Now we're going to turn around and pop that ulti. And the true drop barrage isn't quite there, but Juice will die. As now Tally going to come in.
Choose.
Huge drop there from Juice. Cardred dead. Everyone dead almost as Chippies just has to run out.
And they just legitimately explode. Choo-Choo's is doing a whole lot of damage at the moment. Doesn't need the zone use. And this double teleport style of strategy that they've put in place, Tally can just use his one this time. If God forbid they have Choose splitting, he can just use his. And every single time Sin try and make something happen, all they have is a cocoon.
Well, bottom looks a little cracked. Top is now broken. His Legacy might have been pushed in to take some Nexus turrets. Death time is fairly long. This absolutely could be game. Chippies, Cleave is only to defend, is not going to cut it here. We do have a respawn up from Rogue, but Choo-Choo's going to zone them out of the fountain. That's going to be game here for Legacy. Cleaning it up, 30 minutes.
13k gold ahead and a 12-1 performance from this Legacy side. Sin, they had nothing they could do to actually stop that from happening, and it was just all so quick.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
And clean-cut and efficient, most importantly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had some points there where things slowed down a bit, farming up towards that 20 minutes, hitting your items, making sure the waves are in the right spot. But every single time there was a point of action. Legacy just came out ahead. It's like they already thought of the move.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like it mostly came down to drafting. I think there's a lot that could be addressed from this Sin lineup coming into Game 2 to fix their flaws in the team composition. They had the damage, and it just felt like they were trying to deny picks opposed to picking their own.
Well, certainly did. We're going to get a bit more insight, though, so I'll throw back to our experts on the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Pastry Time. And guys, that was a one-sided affair, and it was from pretty much minute one. Atlas, what the heck happened in the early game?
Well, Juve's died a few times there, Spawn. I mean, this guy in the jungle, it was just not a good story. He fell so far behind. Sitting on about 6 CS at the beginning of the game, tries to get around the map, and Carbon's like right there. Gets him to low health, he has to go back, and then as soon as he's back in his jungle, he's dead. And from that point on, it was just Legacy rolling over the top because every part of the jungle was theirs.
Yeah, and I know that you were talking about how if you were on Legacy right now, you would be targeting Juves. Can they protect him? Is he just that much of a liability at the moment, Destiny?
I just think that they played the map wrong from the level 1 lane swap. They lost out on a lot of vision, and Juves invading into the jungle at level 2 was a very bad mistake. He showed up mid to help Rhymester push, and then that just gave Carbon the complete jungle. He just overtook him, he killed him, he just controlled the game from there, from that one mistake.
Yeah, as soon as you show yourself on the map, you just give all of that awareness over the other team. Some of the stats I want to go through, though, because it didn't end there. 23 minutes through the game, there was a 30 CS top lane. There's a 60 CS in the jungle. There's a 30 CS on the AD carry. Only really Rye in the mid lane. He had about a 15 CS advantage at that stage. They're putting a lot of eggs in Rye's basket, but they didn't draft around their mid laner. They just gave him a passive, like, what's Ziggs?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. And the thing that I want to talk about, like, the draft is a big deal. And I know Destiny really wants to talk about this because he's passionate about the fact that Sin didn't quite get it right. Ryze went the whole way through the draft. This guy is a ridiculous pick at the moment. And I just don't really understand. I mean, the Ziggs, I get it. Wave clear. They want to have the poke. They want to have the extra disengage that you get from the satchel. Makes a bit of sense, but it just flat out didn't work.
I just had no idea what they were doing. Well, what were they aiming for? Like, they took Elise and Mundo in the early rotations, and like that first rotation could have been so much better. There was Trundle up, there was Graves was taken, so like they picked Mundo assuming it was top, but it just didn't work out straight up.
Yeah, and all that CC meant that, you know, we're going to show a replay. Atlas, I want you to take this one because look at how confident Legacy is going into this turret dive.
Yeah, well, you can see Chippies is at full health. Normally you see a Mundo underneath a turret, you're like, oh, all right, this is the later stage of the game. This is going to be a problem. Let's roll this one out and just have a look at how much damage he takes. I mean, Tally's in there, doesn't even hit the vitals, does a whole lot. Carbon just roasts him. And now Choo-Choo's flashes all the way forward, gets the ult on himself. Everyone needs to give him the time of day, but can't do anything. And Legacy are just steamrolling. They've just got so much more money at this stage of the game. And Juice, he looks like he's got a decent health bar, but there's no resistances. And then Tally, look at this re-engage as well. Finishes off the turret, straight in there. Rhymeister's dead. And Sin just, no answer.
Yeah, exactly right. And, you know, that wasn't the only time because when Sin was looking to make their proactive plays, you know, at the end of the game, they wanted to get in and they were like, all right, one last dish effort. We know the Baron's coming. We know that they're going to try something. We have another replay to show you guys because even when Legacy look like they're pressured, they're such a cool, calm, collected team. Carbon is such a great shot caller and leader that they're able to just turn it around and You know, honestly, when you looked at how this draft went, you're like, if this game doesn't go for 60 minutes, if Mundo doesn't become unkillable, if they can't just one-shot someone with the Ziggs and really start sieging up their turrets, there's nothing they can do. The game didn't go that long, and it just resulted in this kind of team fight happening. Destiny, take us through this. I want you to particularly explain the mentality of Sin and the desperation of this call.
Yeah, this call was really rushed. We can see Sin here. They just want to control their jungle, and they just didn't know where Legacy were. They were just down in vision. Legacy had complete control of the map here. We see the Spooky Ghost, the Flash Cocoon onto Carbon. He gets bursted, but the whole point of Legacy's comp is to kite them out. See, we just see the teleport. We've got the Lissandra out of nowhere with the flank. Beautiful jump over the wall from King. They just cleaned them up. They've outplayed them. Had vision complete of the jungle was gone.
I have a feeling we've seen that one before.
Yeah, I think that just completely sums up the entire game. When I looked at those team fights back-to-back, I was like, we have to show this because, A, it shows how decisive Legacy is going forward. Shout out to Choo Choo's on how well he played that Lissandra. But even when Sin pressured, it just shows how good this team is in able to absorb all that pressure, come out, absolutely smash them in another team fight. Going forward, what is the major, adjustment we're looking in the next game? Is it all just draft?
I think, look, I have to say, if Sin draft, I'm going to draft better, then we're just going to look at this as a brand new slate. Because honestly, with what they had, they just didn't have the tools to go up against Legacy.
Yeah, it certainly didn't seem so, but we are going to get right back to you guys with Game 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everybody, to week 1, day 2 of the LPL 2016. I'm, of course, Jake Spawn-Tiveri, still joined by Atlas and Destiny. And, you know, yesterday, guys, we asked you on Twitter who you thought would win the OPL 2016 first split. And NZ Smart has tweeted in and let us know that it's going to be hard to dethrone the Chiefs, but if any team can do it, he thinks it might just be Legacy. And, you know, after game 1, we're starting to think that too.
I'm beginning to believe, Spawn, most definitely. I mean, this is a team without their support player that's on the main roster as well. We have to think that Strawbella, she did a fantastic job in that first game, but this isn't even their final form.
And what about you, Destiny? Is this the team that you're looking at as the team to beat for Avant going into this split?
Definitely. The house is obviously showing improvement straight off the bat. Strawbella, they gave her Trundle. I don't know. She was one of the first players in Oath to play it, so yeah, Legacy looking good.
The original hipster Strawbella bringing that onto Summoner's Rift. I agree with you. It actually looked fantastic, and that's what impressed me. The fact that they have still been, I guess, scrimming with their main roster, but now integrating Strawbella in. Didn't miss a heartbeat, but let's go back to that draft. Let's break it down again. Graves was first picked, and the response was an Elise Mundo. Atlas, you were very vocal about this. Jungler already locked in. Elise for Juves. What happened there?
What were they going to do? Were they going to pick away the Elise and put it in the top lane? I'm not entirely sure. When you've got Trundle and Lissandra, though, these are just such easy picks. They've got the Aurelia there as well. They can flex that one around. We already mentioned that fact. They were hovering it. They had the idea. I mean, maybe just go for some of these picks that could be just a Sin brand, something, you know, that they can throw into the mix to mix things up because, I mean, Lissandra Trundle, man.
And, you know, we were talking about the Zac ban. We were talking about the Malphite van. That is a lot of the hard CC that we were expecting to see out of the Sin lineup. Is that what really threw them through the, I guess, the wrench? Because they had no hard CC in their lineup. They just couldn't get into fights.
The Oath bans came out. The Malphite ban, the Zac ban, the Oath champion pool just got demolished.
Half of the bans were just weird, right?
Yeah,
it was like Malphite, Zac, and
even
Anivia.
Yeah, like I just think the whole champion select just went wrong for Sin. They really need to look at it this game, and yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we're expecting the main adjustment. For me, though, it's all about protecting Juves. This is a guy that, you know, the team, we keep calling it out. This might be a liability on the team. They gave him absolutely nothing. You know, Carbon walked in with that Tracker's Knife, was able to get some early vision down. Something that pushes waves, something that can just help their jungler out is surely the aim of the game at the start here.
Yeah, definitely. They have to keep Juves under control. They have to put him on a tanky champion where it's just easy to perform. Zac, Poppy, there's lots of strong junglers on this patch. Rek'Sai even, he's very comfortable on that. So I'd really like him to pull out Rek'Sai this game. That looks like a comfort pick.
And, you know, King had a really good performance, and, you know, Blue Ezreal is something that we've seen more and more in the OPL. But on the other side, if you ignore Rymeister for a second, maybe Kardra was the next best performing member. He was trying to do a lot, Atlas. Do you think they give him some more carry potential there and see if he can go off?
Well, I mean, he was trying to. I mean, he had some interesting cullings towards the end of the game, but he kept up in farm very, very well throughout the early game. They lane swapped. They gave him sort of some free time around the map. The thing is, Kardra's always been this player that generally sits back and farms things out. He sort of had some moments there where he was like full carry mode, Tristana just smashing everyone. Of course, we look overseas for Gamescom for things like that. I mean, that was a long time ago. But this guy has sort of generally been the sit back, give me the farm, and I'll make things happen in the late game. But it just didn't get to that point for Sin.
Yeah, it certainly did not. And, you know, we heard from Carvin, he was very vocal that he didn't think they were getting any better. They win game 1. Let's see if they can win game 2 as we're going to go back to our casters.
Thanks once again. We're about to get ourselves into our second game as Legacy. We said it, Rusty, just a calculated first game there.
Absolutely calculated, and all began in the drafting phase. I'll say it time and again. They gave them Fiora, Graves, Lissandra, Ezreal, Trundle, and I can name 4 of those champions that no one team should actually have at the exact same time.
Well, they had them all, certainly. And I think even the comp they put together there, you saw like the poke siege comp there effectively from Sin. Like, you said it at the draft. It's like, oh, they have last pick. They'll probably need some CC. Ziggs.
Yeah.
Not quite there on the CC.
Yeah, on the flip side, of course, looking at Sin Gaming's draft, it does raise a lot of questions. Juves, picking up that early Elise isn't a big deal. I feel like it's still a good first rotation in the draft, but also going for the Mundo with it kind of already reveals your hand and your lack of crowd control. That then says to me that you need a support that can actually have crowd control and some kind of engage, maybe even a Thresh to complement the Elise. But instead they went for the Janna, and so many mistakes in that draft.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can fix them here because we are into the champ select for game number 2. Singing a swap sides over, of course, Legacy now on the red versus Sin blue, and there's another Anivia ban. Gangplank gonna follow. Graves there, the ban from Sin, though. I do like that adaptation.
I definitely like the Graves ban. It's just to get it away from Carbon.
Yep.
The way that he played with the pressure that he put onto Juves really put him down, and Sin weren't able to rotate and help him.
Well, pretty far through the bans already. Actually, we're done. Trundle ban, Alistar ban, Malphite ban. Again, that Malphite ban sort of sticks out as a Oceanic special, but first pick Lulu for Sin know exactly what they want.
Yeah, and even banning away the Trundle from Strawbella, so 2 adaptive bans here away from Legacy, and it goes to show that with all 3 being target bans, champions like Lulu are readily left available for that first rotation.
Yep, but we still have that Lysandra that we saw last game that's seen a ton of play all around the Rift in different regions. But Legacy, of course, about 30 seconds to determine where they want to go. I mean, I would pick Lysandra. Choose look great on it, and they can still flex it for Tally.
I mean, your best bet is probably Lysandra Rek'Sai,
Yep.
I think, in this first rotation. Juve's probably going to default to Elise. Rek'Sai, very good champion, and actually the most played competitively across all major regions. So by a substantial margin, at least 15 extra games on Rek'Sai. So a strong champion all around, has that early pressure that Carbon was also putting into place, and keep Juves down.
Well, there's the Lysandra hover at least for now. And they do lock it in, so there is going to be the pick once more. I wonder if Carbon might even do something like go to Lee Sin, because he did seem to like aggression mode. There we go. Carbon Lee Sin.
Yeah, of course. Maintain the aggression. Juve still should be defaulting to a Rek'Sai or Elise. Confident, very capable solo jungling champion, and the biggest thing that needs to change in this game is Sin actually rotating to help him and actually placing more emphasis on vision around general areas. And this is a much more Sin style draft.
Yep, you can see Rogue there with the Thresh. There's the Rek'Sai. Very comfort champion there for Rogue on Thresh. And a little bit more in the meta. The Janna felt a bit out of place, but made sense in their comp, I suppose. And Rek'Sai, perfectly good against Lee Sin. Heard it on the desk from Destiny. Definitely a comfort pick there for Juve, so I agree. Much better start already.
Yeah, definitely. They've got crowd control. They've got early pressure to complement one another. And if they were to put the lane swap into effect, Thresh has a bit more of an impact across the entire map, whereas Janna kind of holds the hand of the AD carry and says, this is how you take turrets quicker. Just gives him a shield.
Yep. You can see King going to hover to Ezreal once more. Might go back to it here. And of course, can still give it to a solo lane if they want to pick it early and not reveal their potential counter pick. 20 seconds or so for Legacy to decide on these particular picks. I mean, Ezreal just fine. I think King's going to be comfortable wherever they want to put him. So why not pick it? If you had a good game, might as well take it once more.
Absolutely right. And they should probably just go for the support here with it. Flex mid lane as their last pick option. Force Rymeister into a champion that may well be the Lulu, but we don't know just yet until they lock in their last draft. And there it is.
Yep, Ezreal Braum, which is still ambiguous, of course. They could put Ezreal in the mid lane versus the AD carry, but after game 1 from King, I'm sure he's comfortable taking it again. And we don't have an AD carry just yet here for Sin, so potentially trying to counterpick there as well. Rogue's going to flash Shaco. Probably not going to be the pick there, but you never know.
You would wager it's going to be Lucian. Kalista on 6.1, which is the patch we are on again, has been nerfed a little bit. The E max on Kalista kind of affects laning phase and honestly ruins any capabilities of trading. So interesting decisions have to be made here from Sin. Do they default to what worked for them in the Lucian? And to be fair, Kadra didn't actually play poorly at all.
No,
he did
I
his
mean,
job.
perfectly fine. Maybe they want a slightly harder carry. We heard about Tristana. He's a comfort pick for him. Caitlyn, every now and then, feels like she has a slot in this metagame, but no one's really picked her up, and Kadra's a very comfy Caitlyn player. So plenty of options, of course, for Sin, but they have to blind pick that mid lane, like you mentioned. Could be another long-range carry here for Rymeister. It'd be so weird to see him go from Ziggs then to Xerath.
Yeah, I feel like he would be stuck
Here
2
we
seasons in the past. That's more
Here we
Rymeister.
go. This
what
is more
it's
Sin
talking
in general. Vayne for Kadra, Yasuo for Rymeister, and Chooch is, of course, now going to get his counter pick.
It's like they've started with this standard, like perfect normal draft, and then they've just gone, hang on, where's Sin? Let's forget that. Let's just go straight into the Vayne, straight into that Yasuo. On the assumption that it's going to be the Lysandra mid lane. Yasuo struggles a little bit as the lane continues, but should be perfectly fine early. And Sin Gaming, the only thing they're really missing now is wave clear if they don't have their top lane on.
Televac having a bit of fun, but yep, you're right. It could be an issue, but we'll have to see. As Legacy just trying to lock down this final pick. Yeah, I saw Poppy. I was like, okay. I imagine that Vitaly's champion. I do like to see these gone at least back to Fiora for game 1, so a bit more on the carry side of things, but Tally, of course, back in the top lane now. Plenty of champions to play. Probably not going to be Bud. I'm going to push that one out there gently, but we'll wait and see. Legacy got 5 seconds left to decide on this pick.
Well, of course, Braum is still going to be there, so
could be top
no
lane Braum.
real chance of
there we
having
go.
That. That makes a lot of sense. That makes
wow.
a bit less, but it's still good.
Well, do swap to Varus, actually, so I imagine that is going to be Tally's Lysandra this time around. Poke up against that Yasuo. Could be a bit awkward every now and then for Varus, but should be just a fine lane.
We have a very defined function of when you can use your ultimate as Varus in this matchup, when you can go in, and it's very easy to use your piercing arrows until the wind wall is no longer available. We know Choo Choo is very good on Varus. We've seen him play it in the past in the last splits of the OPL, so playing it into Rhymeister's Yasuo, it's going to be difficult for him to execute on early, but the more that Choo Choo scales, the less he needs to be interactive with a Yasuo at all.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Rhymeister's, you can see even with the Ignite that he's hovering there, not looking to do anything other than try and pressure this lane and get some kills and really start to carry. He's a big carry for his team. We did expect maybe a harder carry champion in game number 1. Went for the Ziggs, gone straight back to one of his old standbys, Yasuo here. He's going to have to come up big with Cardred in this game. Sin are putting all the eggs in their 2 carry basket.
And it's actually a really good composition here from Sin. They've got the Lulu, they've got the Rek'Sai, and even Threshflay to an extent to help engage with Rhymeister on this Yasuo. Of course, not even taking into account Rhymeister's own tornadoes with Yasuo's Q. So they've got a lot of means, essentially, to have a successful team fight. And I feel like they could get it done no matter how many people are going to be there. 3, 4, 5v5s, it doesn't matter.
Well, we'll have to find out here. You can see the lineups on your screen. And, of course, get those hashtags out on Twitter. Hashtag SinWin or hashtag LGCWin for Sin and Legacy, respectively. Don't forget, of course, you can use the hashtag IamOPL and keep sending us your dragon name suggestions. We did enjoy some of those.
I think Darren was the favorite so far.
Well, we'll have to see.
I like it. I like Darren.
You would.
It rhymes. It goes with Darren. You know, Darren and Darren.
Well, I guess we'll find out shortly. But we do have a game to play in the meantime here. Possibly 2, of course. Sin do find themselves down a game here in this best of 3. Legacy up after a very strong performance in the first one. But can Sin bring it back? It have gone back to basics, it feels like. Comfort picks on the carries. Very straightforward pick here. But we're going to hear a bit from Drews before we get into it.
Carbon, I find Carbon to be overly aggressive at times. Once again, he's a really good jungler, but he can be punished with his over-aggression. In saying that, yes, he is a good player.
Drews telling like it is, I suppose. Definitely felt the aggressive end of Carbon in game number 1.
I like that he calmed down and just had an almost sarcastic laugh at the end, though. It's like, Carbon, he's a great player. I can exploit him and we can beat him, but he's great.
Well, we'll see if Drews can have maybe a bit better game here, of course. Carbon not letting off on the aggressive streak, that's for sure. Lee Sin over Graves with the ban being taken out there by Sin, so we'll see how he performs on the champion. Rek'Sai, though, very comfy, just fine in the jungle matchup, and a perfectly good pick here for Juve. So we'll see if he can cope some of that pressure, maybe even punish Carbon. We talked about aggression. Paid off for him in game 1, but could see if he can exploit that here on the other end, as Cardred and Rogue are going to help out here on the Krugs. In fact, we're going to have mirrored starts here, so it looks like Krugs into red for these junglers.
I think one major difference is going to be that the bottom lane of Legacy are taking their own Gromp, whereas we've got Tally helping Carbon on the top side. Probably work towards bottom. Might go towards Juve's blue buff. We'll see where Carbon actually makes that choice, because they are very much aware of having standard lanes in about 10 seconds if Chippy decides to show himself.
Yep, does look like it will be 2v2 this time around. Carbon finishing off those Krugs, though, and top laners will meet, so no lane swap this time around. Outer turret should stay up for a little while longer. Carbon, though, going to start taking away that red buff, and Vayne versus Ezreal. Haven't seen this one in a while. Kind of a throwback matchup, actually.
Yeah, and it's actually a matchup that you'd say starter favors the Vayne. It starts to favor the Vayne the later it goes in the lane. Once you get more items, you can engage and successfully dodge a lot of Ezreal spells. That's the major difference here. Tumble, very, very important in this match.
Yeah, you can see Cardred does have it. Probably going to max it here as well, as Rhymeister's getting that level 2 aggression in. Looking for the tornado. He's going to miss it, but pressuring that wave nice and early, pushing it all the way into the turret.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Choo Choo's, he'll be perfectly fine having that corrupting potion. And that's basically why Rhymeister was being so aggressive. Level 2 Yasuo power spike, that and a lack of health bar available for Choo Choo's, but having the exhaust as well in this 1v1 matchup mid.
Oh, he did actually swap it up. Had TP from the last game, I suppose, but does take the more appropriate summoner spell. So not going to have as much pressure. That's going to be up to Tally this time around. Oh, trouble in mid lane. Juves is going to come in. Rhymeister takes good damage there from Juves' poke, but Juves is there just to make sure nothing too bad happens.
Of course, we'll call this a standard Juves game.
Yep.
Needs to focus Rhymeister, and rightly so, of course. Rhymeister, a massive carry for his team. Carbon's placed that ward down, but Juves is about to spot it if he burrows over anyway. He's got the Raptor sense there.
Yep. Now Carbon going top lane, actually. might give Chippies enough info to infer that there is actually a jungler up here. Tally going to move in for it. Snare does land. Chippies could be in trouble here. They're going to try and bait the flash out first. Do get the slow, and that's massive damage. Q does land. Chippies trying to flash out of the way, but flash forward from Tally, and first blood.
Every time a Lee Sin ganks, you play a giant mind game with yourself of when is he going to throw the Q, when can I flash that Q, and unfortunately Chippy's mind gamed himself into death, opposed to actually dodging that Sonic Wave. Very well done here from Legacy. They knew exactly where the Rek'Sai was, so a safe first kill. Yep,
did have to trade the flash there for Tally as well, but he's going to keep his TP potentially as Chippies did just come back into the lane with his. That's going to give Legacy a nice bit of extra gold into Tally's pockets as well. So a good start. Blasting one picked up there. Looks like Rod of Ages once again is now a wraparound in the mid lane. Choo Choo's could be in trouble. He's going to get the force flash, but Firemeister moves in. Exhaust is good, but Choo Choo's is dead. But here comes the Tally, and Tally collects it. Now going to keep chasing. Might get a double. Does not have his flash, and the path is down. Juves should be able to get to safety, but the rest of the team are chasing. Strawbella going to look for the flash. Doesn't land it. Does go in now. Q will land, and now Tally swoops in for the auto. Gets the kill.
Lissandra getting the second kill, of course. Strawbella MVP on that, getting the max range Q on that Braum. We're going to see how it all happens one more time. Remember, Choo Choo's with the exhaust denies a lot of damage from Rymeister straight into a teleport, and this is the strength of Tally. Actually just avoiding that wind wall as well with his claw. A little bit lucky, but very well played from Legacy all in all.
And again, great team play here, using those teleports nice and effectively. They knew that Chippies didn't have his, so that was a good fight for Tally to take. We keep talking about the power of Lissandra, I feel like, Rusty, but Tally now going to be the one to show it off as double tiers out for Legacy. There is something to note about their comp. You're going to have a bit of a delay here in that early game while those items power up.
And it's going to be very interesting to see how that works. 3 pink wards as well as having all of those tiers. They are looking at around the 20-minute power spike type of timing, and they'll really be smashing their way through Sin if they get those and maintain the lead that Tally's already got for them. The thing with that is between Lee Sin on Carbon and Tally on this Lissandra, they can bridge that power spike very easily. They can set them up on the throne and just gift them this power spike.
That they can. 3-1 now up for Legacy and 1,000 gold ahead already with no turrets taken out just yet. So that's pretty much all Tally's gold at this point. He's got all 3 of the kills. He'll have that Rod of Ages up very, very soon. And Sin are going to have to just play back a bit here. Carbon going mid, looking for Rymeister. Does land in, but no kick. And that tornado there does try and bait it. Just keeping pressure up on mid lane.
Standard Lee Sin players. You calm down, Carbon.
Nice win wall. Gonna block out some of that poke here. It needs to farm safely under the turret. Does clear it out. Rymeister will get stronger here. Even went double Dorans just because of the lane.
In a comfortable position, Rymeister. He's still going to be susceptible to a lot of poke that comes out of the Varus. Not always that comfortable if the poke does hit in rapid succession, because of very low cooldown for Choo Choo's with that Q.
Especially with that blue buff, which he did get, of course. Juves has his own team's blue, which makes sense, because Rymeister doesn't need it this time.
Yasuo, yeah.
Sorry, I just remember the horrors of last game.
Not again.
Cardred and Rogue in a bit of trouble. Strawbella does get the tag down onto Rogue. One auto not there. Good condemn there from Cardred. Going to stymie some of that aggression. But King again, 10 CS ahead with a tier. Just loves to play aggressively no matter the champion.
The fact that he's 10 ahead with the tier says a lot about how powerful Braum really is in this laning phase. Look at the pressure that they can put down just from threatening the stun.
Cardred has to be a bit careful. Almost got stunned up there, and you can see Q just landing left, right, and center for Strawbella. Calibrated those skill shots quite nicely. Tagging Juves earlier for that kill, and now down in the bottom lane, just chucking him out.
I was going to call them heat-seeking, and then I realized it's
very cold
related.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as like ice-seeking.
Well,
he's out of the bush, Carbon.
Chippy's in trouble, maybe. Tally has ulti. Isn't quite in range to use it, unfortunately. Chippies will get out this time.
That was unlucky. Carbon was out of the bush when he stood there waiting for the gank, so had to go. Bella.
Ooh. Good tag back there. Rymeister not there in time to potentially combo in for an ulti. Juve's down here as well. This could just be a dive. There is no TP up for Tally. Oh, King. Good check. Very good check. Good Q as well from Strawbella.
Nice. Basically get out with nothing achieved here from Sin. And again, Juve's not having that flash because of the gank that happened in the middle lane. Sets them up here, and King will probably try and steal this.
He certainly is. Can't see it, of course. So going for the battle. Actually, Strawbella gets it.
Still a win.
Yeah, pink ward's worth of gold and a bit of change. As Cardred and Rogue going to try and deal some damage to that turret. Legacy did well there. to just lose the turret potentially as Rymos is going in. Carbon's trying to bait off to the side. Juju's ulti is up, and now they know Windwall is down. This could be a dive.
This definitely could be, but they also don't know the whereabouts of Juice, and the pings have gone in the bottom side of the jungle near that red buff. They know he's nearby, don't want to take that risk. Instead, the less risky option, having 3 members nearly here.
Diving top lane, waves pushed in. Carbon did get spotted by a ward, so he'll collapse the tunnel and go back home. So Carbon still looking at every lane, it almost feels like, for some of these ganks. Just flitting between the top and mid here. Rymeister again going in. Windwall's going to look for that all-in. Choo-Choo's, though, just going to take some trade. Carbon back in again.
That's
Good
it.
ulti there. Choo-Choo's does land it in, but the tornado is charged up. Will land it in onto Carbon. Dodges the Q. Dodges the other Q. Rymeister, nice moves.
Very well done from Rymeister to be able to get out of that. The wind wall not available for him, but fancy feet is all it required. As Juves is now here to make sure that his mid laner is all right one more time.
Carbon backing off, though. Choose does just move out of the tornado hitbox. Good win wall again there as Rymeister just wants to keep trading. Moves through it for the Q. Now Choose going to come in. Rymeister might dive here. He wants it. Good flash there from Choose. Lands in there for the last breath and will collect it.
That was just... Oh, Carbon!
Oh, great flash there from Rymeister. Gets out from under Resonating Strike. Ulti out as well. But enough flow, I think, to stay safe after last breath. And Juves now just has to be the one to get out. Rogue is there to save him with a lantern. Well played by the Sin duo.
Juves really misplayed with that flash as well, setting Rymeister up for a clean escape, not even needing the flash under that turret. Watch where Choo-Choo's flashes between 2 turrets, not even in a position for Rymeister to connect, and doesn't get hit by a turret one more time. Gets out very clean.
Yep, then a nice flash to get out from Carbon's potential kill. And no trade comes in for Legacy. So the mid laner we expected to step up here, especially down a game. Rymeister looking good in the early stages, 2-1-0. We look at Tally, he's the one with all the gold. He's well and truly charging up that Rod of Ages. But Rymeister's starting to move towards that static Shiv. He's going to hit that first item nice and quickly. And we'll see 2 different carries in some ways sort of face off here from mid and top lane.
The big problem for Legacy is they've had a 3-0 Lissandra for quite some time, but they're unable to utilize this Lissandra in the rest of the map. Stuck dealing with Chippies, and sure, controlling the lane, but Chippy still has more farm than you, even though you have 3 kills. You are stacking your Rod of Ages quicker, so you need an impactful teleport gank sooner rather than later.
Well, might look for bottom lane here, as King and Strawberry are continuing to apply pressure. Cardra keeping up nicely in CS, but you can see the sheen from King creating potential problems here in the lane. Cardra actually has a pretty early Zeal here, so wants some of the earlier attack speed. But should be seeing the pretty standard Vayne build. I imagine Rapid Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge will play a part at some point.
Definitely should be the Vayne build that we'll see. Of course, we'll look into what Kajin wants to go for. A lot of options available if he wants to be hyper-aggressive, but should be, as you mentioned, the Rapid Fire.
It's a Q there. Big Sheen empowered auto. But Strawberry slaps a ward. Carbon now down towards the bottom side.
I don't know.
They do not. Snuck all the way around the back of Dragon. This could be a dive.
If they were to dive, they need to be very careful. Level 6 across the board. Chippies has his teleport.
Good ward. There's the port. They are going to go in for the dive. Port to the tower. Carbon the first target. Carbon wants it. He'll move in for the Q. He lands it, but the lantern might be enough to save him. Rogue hooks him in here, but Strawbell's taken so much damage. That will be the first kill. And Cardrid's invisibility helping out massively there as the ulti comes out onto Rogue. Cardrid and Chippies with no health to speak of. A 2-for-1 trade win there for Sin.
They do get a positive trade. They're going to lose a lot of pressure onto this turret. Yasuo's rotating, so they have to back away. Oh, no, they're watching him on a ward. They haven't made a decision until Rymeister does. But a big misplay here from Legacy. Carbon didn't get to use his kick in time. Vayne being invisible, then taking the lantern. Great teamwork from Sin.
Yep, Rogue and Cardra played very well there to get Chippies out to safety. Let's watch this one again.
So Carbon, with the teleport, tries to come in. He wants to kick Cardra into the wall. Invisibility, lantern, straight away, nothing Carbon can do. Now very mispositioned while Strawbella's under the turret, and kicks Chippies and Rogue instead of Cardrid. King and Tally, they're doing damage, but it's never going to be meaningful damage until they get the Vayne dead.
Yep, and we talked about needing to have a high-impact teleport there for Tally. A 1-for-2 trade is not what he was thinking of, even though he's had such a great start to this game. Strawbella is going to find Juves right in the face there. Carbon now going to come in as well. Needs a couple more autos. He's going to land the last one. Strawbella going to keep running in, but Juves has a couple tunnels to get away to.
That's a lot of tunnels. Very, very hard to kill Orexai in his own jungle, but nice work from Strawbella to stand still, not get spotted by the sense, And now Legacy with a slight advantage. Look to push mid.
Yep, Winwell, though, is going to deny a lot of that push. They're all standing on the same side awkwardly. And now Tara in the bottom lane is going to go down. The first structure actually goes to Sin now. As King is a little too late to try and save it. Choo Choo's again with the poke, but Rymeister feeling just fine right now.
Rymeister very fast, has the Zeal available and the Boots one. Only going to be faster from here. A little bit harder for Choo Choo's to connect with those arrows. In saying that, the cooldown goes down a fair bit on Varus Q.
See it pretty low now. It has maxed it out, of course, so going to collect blue buff perhaps in a few minutes. He's going to go back now. Charging up that mana immune, they're going to look towards that second item here. Start really power up the Varus. Very cost-efficient build for mid Varus usually, so at some point soon, I have to think Legacy are going to try and use this team comp, but we're going to maybe get the tower in the bottom lane now.
There's an interesting dynamic between both of these teams, is that the 4-0 Lissandra is going for an Abyssal Scepter and not looking to take damage from the Lulu in the laning phase, but there's also a 2-in-1 Yasuo who's going to start dealing more and more physical damage the later that this game goes. And that raises an interesting question because as we're looking at Yasuo's build, he appears to be going for a Trinity Force.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've seen this build.
There's a reason you don't go for this build, is that you'll be at 120% crit if you go for Infinity Edge.
It's a lot of crit.
Yeah, it's too much.
It is too much.
Some might say, when you can only crit 100% of the time, pastry time.
Well, we'll see how the build works out. It is an old build, of course. We need to fill in that 10% crit. It was a great bridging item. Legacy, though, I'm not stopping the push. Tally's come down. He actually just walked all the way down here. This is great. Getting 2 towers is a big win here for Legacy.
Yeah. They've sent Kadra to the top lane to poke down the top turret, but you would imagine a 3-0 Lissandra made it quite difficult for Chippies.
Uh-oh, Juice. Tagged by the Q.
Mid's next.
Certainly is. Choo Choo's going to line things up. Almost level 11, so level 2 ulti on the way, but it's going to be pretty hard to defend. Rymeister only gets 1 win wall. There it is.
Varus could ult once they get this low.
Oh, Rymeister wants in. Juice goes in for the last breath on the 3. Tally, though, going to lock up Rymeister, and he is going to die. Juice low on the side there. Lantern goes out as Carbon is still chasing for that kill. He wants Juice so bad. The Wild Goat's going to deny him. Rogue, no kick available, so he can't kick him back into the team. Actually might die here as the Ignite comes down as well. Legacy only get 1 kill. They'll actually be denied the turret.
They do get denied the turret, but it was basically gifted a free kill. Watch the hook.
Oh, Chooch. Whoa, that was a crazy interaction.
Absolutely no idea what just happened.
I think Braum got hooked and traded places with Choo Choo's.
Yeah, but how does
because
that
of Stand
work?
Behind Me. I don't know.
It's like stand behind me and forcefully grabbing him behind
well,
me.
I mean, because Braum... I'll explain later, but here's the game.
I don't even... No, that doesn't work. All right, Legacy, this is aggressive from Juice. Doesn't hit all targets.
Yeah,
Carbon dodges it, which was great. Rymeister not having resistance is going to go down very quickly, as Tally doing a lot of damage. And this is the Lulu ultimate to keep Carbon away from Juice and keep them all alive, as 4 very much blinking health bars of Legacy limp away. And hopefully the replay continues until I can see what the hell happened with this. What is this? See? What is that?
Okay. So that's actually not what I thought happened. That's interesting.
So it hooked, the hook connected
Yes.
onto Strawbella as she jumped.
Oh, yeah, okay, then I do know what
But
happened.
for some reason what happened is they were like swapsies.
Yeah. So Braum pretty much jumped onto Varus at the same time he got hooked. So the hook says you need to be displaced, but the target's no longer there. So it effectively swapped places and then displaced Choo slightly.
It doesn't...
Look,
like,
spaghetti code, not always 100% on why it works. But that's my assumption about what happened. I don't know, Rusty. I'm no genius, that's for sure.
that's a bad one.
Well, we'll sort it out later. Again, please direct your tweets about Braum and direct displacement to @RustyLol on Twitter.
Just send it to @SpawnLol. I'm sure he'll appreciate
There's a
it.
Legacy now. Still trying to crack this outer mid lane turret. King with the Iceborne Gauntlet and the cooldown boots. Ready to just get annoying and throw out those Qs. Stacking up the tier as well. We did miss this here. Carbon actually going to get caught out of position. Looks for his red buff, smites it. Not enough health though, and Cardred gets the red buff and the kill.
Yeah, so we missed that while we're watching the replay. Carbon again!
Yeah, Carbon hooks. Polymorphs up as well. Does get
Cardred's
displaced
low.
out by Cardred. Way in the wrong position. Oh, King. There's a minute in front of him, but Drew's now going to get locked up. Auto needs one
Braum's
more.
stunned.
Stun will land. Hook there onto Strawbella, but the ulti's out from Braum. Wild Growth will keep Drew's
Tally's
alive
in.
for longer, and now Tally. Huge ulti onto himself to hit onto 4. Rymeister's down as well. Huge plays from Legacy.
Tally probably didn't need to ultimate himself, but better safe than sorry as he controls the zone around that outer turret of Sin. They get one, they're looking for two, and Sin engaging onto Carbon's Lee Sin, and he's still alive.
And it's, again, a lot of what we've seen in this first game here. Not quite as clear-cut, maybe, as how Legacy played. It's been a much scrappier game, that's for sure, but every little moment it feels like the two teams go head-to-head, and Legacy just executing a bit better each and every time.
It feels like out of the madness, Sin seemed to just struggle, whereas Legacy reigned supreme. Juves gets kicked towards the rest of the team, and he is the first to go down, but Kardred's positioning was the big miss there, as he takes so much damage super quickly. Tally comes in here, flashes, and ults himself, which was good, because it dodges the flame a lot of disengage that Sin were trying to do. But if he aimed it onto Rogue, probably the same effect.
Quite possibly, but as you said, better safe than sorry, as Kardred, busy trading blows with Choo-Choos in the mid lane. Doesn't really like it, because the Varus poke is really starting to hurt. But this blue buff is going to go over to possibly Kardred, actually. Seems to be a reasonable target for it, so we'll collect it. Happy for the gold, if nothing else, as Rhymeister down the bottom lane.
Probably the only one that uses mana besides the Lulu. Lulu's nowhere to be spoken of.
Busy in the top lane, fighting off King. He does have the Mirror Mana transform all done now.
Yeah, that's a powerful Ezreal.
Yep, this is the Ezreal we all look at when we look at blue Ezreal. Ruthless and efficient on that item build. And King going to start to put it to work here in the top side. Sin are grouped up to try and stop this. Carbon actually gets hooked up again.
Carbon, honestly.
Yeah, just really eating hooks at this point. But can see the wards are there. Push is still ready. Tally's coming over, and Rhymeister's even moving up the river now. This could be a dangerous spot.
They have the teleport available for Tally, so all things considered, he's able to split. Juves wants it.
He wants it, but a good ulti there is going to disengage him. That's going to force a flash away now from Juves. Can't use it offensively to try and get initiation. Rhymeister going to miss his chance there.
Yeah, I can't help but laugh that Rhymeister just walked past casually to get to the lane. Like, no one actually wanted to stop him from doing so. Legacy, they're just going to continue to poke down now. I think even defending their own turrets are going to start to be the goal here as Rhymeister,
going in for a massive play here, looking for the ultimate. Barely gets stunned. Strabella blocks actually the knockup, I think. Nicely played. But she's going to die.
But it's a casualty of war as they've got Lissandra pushing that middle lane. Juice, he's going to be able to defend, but not for a very long period of time as Sin have not stopped in this top lane.
Have now. Realize the pressure's a little too much here.
The wave clear's just everywhere on Legacy.
And everyone going to go back. Actually, no dragons at all in this game. It's been much more chaotic. So objectives have not really had time to fight around them, to be honest. As no team has dragon. Well, wouldn't be a bad time to pick one up, as Tally's actually going to get the Scuttle Crab for himself.
I think the biggest miss so far has honestly just been Carbon aggressively positioning himself. Getting hit constantly by Rogue with the Thresh hooks or getting knocked up by Juves with the Rek'Sai has kind of forced Legacy out of situations where they were at a point of power. It's ruined a big part of their engage.
And like you said, Carbon can be over-aggressive. Does kick Rhymeister off the turret. Does get knocked up. Doesn't go in for it though. Rhymeister knows a bit better than that.
In.
King certainly is. Wants to go over. Choo-Choo's going to miss that ulti. And Legacy is sort of out of engage options with Tally behind.
Yeah, they definitely are, of course. Able to work around most of the map as Tally's trying his absolute best to not appear in the middle of the 4 versus 4 scenarios. Legacy is 4. They're content with just wave clearing, and you can really feel the onus on Sin. They're trying very desperately almost to get engagements off. Some working, some only getting one person, and some not working in their favor. So it comes down pretty heavily to execution from Sin, but they really want it. You can feel that hunger to engage.
Yeah, and Rhymeister powering up, going to start to get even further.
The Trinity.
As a carry. Yep, Trinity Force is close. Not quite done yet. But that's what he's going for. Again, it used to be a good Yasuo item, but you get 100% crit now with Static Shiv and IE.
So it's still good. You just opt into a split push style of build. Your team fighting is okay, and that's only earlier because you're still getting 100% crit. It's just that the crits won't be doing as much as you would like. Does still let you go towards a resistance type of boots and is a very strong Yasuo build around the 20 to 35 minute mark. Just effectively drops off later.
Ooh, Kardred. Barely missed by that resonating strike as Legacy will take this outer. Pretty greedy to be up there taking farm, but 80 carry is going to 80 carry. He did want it as they Sin will retaliate with a mid tower. Tally not able to defend that even with all his wave clear. And Juve's caught out. Lantern needs to ult in, but not going to go in for it. No, they'll go aggressive instead. That's going to force a kick out of Choose Carbon. Might move it back in after the
Watch
ulti does
Rymeister.
land. Rymeister wants it, but King's not going to chase him down. Rymeister looking for the knock-up. Carbon gets hooked up there as well. Tally going to go in for it, but Rymeister's moved his way out. Strobella blocking everything off there with the Unbreakable Will, and Rogue's going to get ultied up there. Strobella still alive for so long, but Chippy's finally takes it out, but a scattered fight sees King with the shutdown, and Juves, he'll be hunted down though. Carbon will land the Q. The knock-up is there, but King's going to collect a double.
And that was a very messy fight. Rymeister flashing forward to try and put down damage, but all they get was Strawbella. Tally can use his ultimate on Rogue, and Legacy still come out ahead in these fights. It's just the zone control that this Lissandra is putting in place. King is just playing around the outskirts very barely. I will say, fantastic mechanics came out of King in that fight, dodging so many different knockups in rapid succession to not let Yasuo go back in, and his ultimate is still available.
No surprise at all to hear that King has still got those very sharp mechanics we saw in his rookie year.
Die
Yeah, I don't know about this one. That's an angry dragon. Carbon now going to come in for help. Choose is going to get saved by his jungler, but first dragon of the game does go to Legacy.
And so we're going to see this fight again. Of course, a desperate engage or disengage option from Choo Choo's used with the chains keeps Rymeister away a little bit at bay, and this is where Rymeister starts working towards Strawbella, looks for the tornado onto King, and watch the dodge here as well. Just barely stopping, funnily enough, for an auto attack to get away from a re-engage that potentially could have turned that fight a little bit more on its head. As Tally, he used his ultimate on a support, and again, Legacy. If they can control a zone in a team fight, then they look like they're in a point of absolute power.
Yeah, and again, it's been execution in these fights that's really won the day for Legacy so far. Sinner definitely fighting back much better than they were in the first game, but still just getting edged out, it feels like. We mentioned the mechanics from King. Just feels like as a team, playing a little bit better in these very complicated fights. It is not easy to play with the Lissandra on your team, despite how powerful the champion is.
No, definitely. And having the top lane Lissandra makes it a bit more difficult as Carbon, you know, Rogue's on the map, better get hooked again.
I think he just strapped a magnet to his forehead.
He did. He's wearing a giant magnet, and it just says Rogue's name on it.
Well, Rogue looking good with the hooks, but not helping out too much here. Almost 5k up for Legacy at this point in the game. So we're well and truly at least halfway through mid-game, if not a bit further. Pressure again coming, and Rymeister's also trying to split push, but he does not have teleport. Tally doesn't either, but this could be a little too much of a loss for Sin as Rymeister
He's walking
caught
through
out farming
so
this
much
time.
vision.
Yeah, you can see the pings already. King gonna have to be careful. Gonna get himself over the edge though. We'll get to safety, and Rymeister's now caught out, but he'll walk himself back through mid lane.
This is risky. The pings are going towards the Baron area. They can't go for it. Sin still too healthy, still with all of their ultimates themselves available. And Rymeister one more time, he's just going to go split. Tally is the one who has to deal, but Legacy,
Rymeister's on like a counter jungling mission.
not just counter jungling, he's walking over wards constantly. Like they've seen him through 3 pinks almost so far.
Well, finally regroups with his team. But a little awkward to go all the way around, and 2 lanes are pushing top and bot here. Chippies, oh my god, that damage. Carbon wants it, he's going in. Wild Growth will land. Carbon gets condemned out of the way. And Carbon is just taking every Q.
Yeah. He's a tank Lee Sin at the very least. He should be perfectly fine in these engages. They don't have minions here, Legacy, but they're poking and they're threatening this inhibitor turret. Waves here now.
Yeah, this is where that Varus Ezreal portion of the comp can really come to fruition. Rymeister does put up the wind wall, but they've got to clear the wave quick, and it won't be up for the next one. Rymeister, ooh.
No way was he following that.
Hopefully not. Ooh, King. That's a big amount of damage to it. Lucky not to go hooked by Rogue. They're going to go in for Junes, actually. Damage is at Carbon. All the way in after the tunnel. Sorry, the lantern. Junes will get kicked out, but Carbon will die. And Junes stays alive. Now Strawbella going to get hooked up there as Rymeister comes in and Chippies collects a double. Bit of a misplay here, and Rymeister wants to keep going. Does land it, needs vision. Oh, no, he had it, but did not click the button.
That was very dangerous if he committed to ulting there. He did have teams to back him up, but no Lulu ultimate to keep him alive. You have to remember, Lissandra is 6-0, so committing to something that aggressive could threaten the rest of the game. At 27 minutes in, Sin, they immediately look towards the Baron to control it, as we're going to see on the other side of the screen as Juice is clearing the Baron area what went wrong in that fight. And firstly, it was Carbon pressing Q the second time. Strawbella takes the hook for the team, and here we go. Baron started from Sim.
Yeah, you can see Rymeister does hit this last nade over. Isn't going to go in for it, and this Baron is getting awfully low. They do pop back in to live.
Juice
Juju's going to
wants
look for
it.
the snipe. Ulti out! It's close!
Wind wall.
Cardred gets it, but the wind wall, yep, does protect them.
Wind wall blocking absolutely everything just there from Legacy in their attempts to steal it. There was a real chance that was going to get stolen, honestly. The
Yeah.
amount of damage that is coming out of Legacy's 280 carries.
Yep. Cardred did collect it, so would have been a steal if not for that wall. King now misses that blue trinket, but going to clear his way out. A nice juicy mending wave here. And all of a sudden, Sin, we're still at a gold deficit, don't forget. Find their way into a Baron and a lot more momentum here in this game. If there's ever a time for Sin to start mounting that comeback, it is going to be now, and it's just been a little too aggressive from Carbon. Juves may very well have been right at the top of this game.
If I were King right now, I'd leave that wave at like a half push, let it go super slow, control the pace of that top lane, and only work around the two that are remaining, because Rymeister's trying really hard to split and get one pushed, but he's got to deal with Tallywhacker, so he'll immediately try and avoid him. In which case, Chippies has to deal with the side push lane, and Legacy could look to teamfight.
Ooh, Tally could be in trouble. Q does land it. Rymeister won't follow, just harassing now. Weaving back in, and Cardred going to pop the damage here. Windwall's there, isn't going to go in. Tally forced to ult himself. And King actually dishing out damage on the other end as Choo-Choo's might be looking for the flank. Juves wants it. He's going to go in aggressive. It gets tagged under the tower dive. Wild Growth is get used. But Carbon now off to the side. Ulti misses from Choos, and Rymeister with the Lulu ulti. He's going to take out Carbon.
Could die here.
Oh, Choo-Choo's hooked up as well. But they aren't going to keep going. Choos is going to keep chasing him, but the slows are too much. Rymeister dives back in and pops his QSS. King now going to get hooked up by Rogue. Ulti out there as the last breath goes down. Shut down on the King as Chippies claims it. And Cardred still dodging poke, does eat one.
This is so dangerous for both of these teams. If Tally had his ultimate, that was done. But the fact that Rymeister can kite around so effectively, and fantastic use of his wind wall time and again to really stop Legacy from getting what they're looking for. This was great poke from Rymeister. He threatens the ultimate and saves it for so long that Tally has to ult himself. Carbon finds an opportunity here with Choo-Choo's poking them down as Juice tries to turn around. He's getting himself killed in the back lane, and watch Carbon as well, because he's found himself in a horrendous position getting hooked from Thresh. Again, goes down. This is where Legacy look like they can win and turn it back around. Rogue, one more hook. Tally tries his best, but Rymeister, look at this, so aggressive every single time, and the Flay sets him up because the Tornado doesn't even connect. Pays for his life with it, but seriously, these fights are so close that you could never pick it until the final person dies.
Yep, you can see Dragon did get collected as well for Sin in that replay, so they'll have a big buff to their stats now as well, and Legacy's gold lead starting to diminish here. And Rymeister, that big carry, is powering up and playing excellently on a signature pick of his. Carbon is going to sweep through this bottom side of the jungle and clear out what vision he can. And Legacy is still looking for a point here, though, yet to crack the base. They have 6 towers. That's all the outers and all the tier 2s, but looking for that very important inhibitor tower as Rymeister is continuing to be annoying and split push out these waves.
Yeah, he has to recall, of course. The rest of his team is trying to deal with Legacy now, giving their best efforts towards sieging. Until he's there, they can.
Yeah, Rymeister now going to come back in. Crit down the minions. They might just fight here. Juice is going to go in for it. Gets the knockup. They are going to move in. Great ulti there. As Rymeister gets kicked out. Strabella a little low. Choo-Choo's going to move poke back in. Couple cooldowns burnt, but some key ones still remain.
And this comes down to the wind wall again. That fight was going to be done for Sin. That Tallywhacker engage was threatening them. But the wind wall blocks the claw. Legacy just confined to poking, and they can't even get these turrets.
No, King going to trim the wave in the top side with his ulti. Legacy know they have to back and prevent some of the waves that are starting to push out. You can see the pings there from Sin. They're trying to hunt Legacy down. King might be a little too far out, but he does move back towards the south, towards his teammates. Will now find a spot to recall, but again, initiative now back for Sin. They look to charge down mid lane.
I wouldn't blame Rymeister for going a Sterix Gauge type of build here. He's got the damage well and surely there. Carbon.
Caught maybe. Choo-Choo's going to come back in. Good wind wall again. Tornado's not quite there, but Sin are aggressive once more. Rymeister's going straight in.
Means business. Sin have got almost his
turret.
turret.
Good hook. Carbon. Trouble there, gets poked out by the Yasuo. Tally threatens, but does not follow the path.
Cardred mispositioning for these fights at the moment. Needs to walk around and group with the rest of his team because Rymeister is putting in overtime for the Sin AD carry.
Certainly is. As we're almost back to even. 33 minutes in, still 3k up for Legacy, but feels pretty much the same relatively late into this one. You can see major items completed for everyone. It's just all about who's going to play this better. And unlike last game, Legacy don't have the double TP to fall back on for a bit more of that macro game. They pretty much have to play straight up in the fights. And to be perfectly honest, Sin have won the last few.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And I mean, Yasuo is just coming up trumps. The biggest thing is they've got the double QSS as well and the Mikhails to deny a lot of the engage, especially from Tally, who is their 7-0-2 hyper carry Lissandra. They've got a 4-1 and 3 Ezreal to fall back to, and King has been putting in a lot of work himself. You've got to give credit where it's due. It's just that Legacy, honestly, it's their front line. Barely exists.
Well, the damage is pretty high at this point, and we've seen quite a lot of carries across teams here. It is more of a standard, I guess, 2.5 threats here for Sin.
Lulu Yasuo is amazing.
It certainly is. So Rymast feels nice and comfy. Isn't going to get the red, though. Windwall's over. Ooh, goes for the croak. Not sure if that Windwall was intentional, but I'll give it to him.
to get vision of
of course.
first, I believe.
Didn't quite make it over, unfortunately.
No.
But here's the push once more for Sin. Choo-choo's getting those legs in work, moving up towards the top. But
Sin
have so much vision on that side.
Yeah.
Baron is back in 50 seconds.
They got the vision at the right time. It is just brute forcing their way through Legacy's jungle.
Whoa.
Legacy are going to try and get it back, I'd hope.
Looking to. That's a ulti sliding past that bottom wave. We'll trim it down nicely. Carter looks to return down there. And maybe clean that up for himself. But don't have too long here. Big Baron will be back up soon. Very important objective to hold on to, given that Dragon has been pretty much ignored for most of this game. Each team has one. That's the only one. Because 5 will be far too late in this one.
Yeah, well, it's near impossible to get near the 5 mark now. Legacy 2 surprisingly able to keep that ward there. Second sweeper used to clear it out.
Sin, they do have vision. At least on their blue side. True's going to go back. Also a carry for the team. Don't forget his damage.
Dance.
Yeah, not too bad. I think he realizes that they're gunning for him every fight.
Yeah.
That's a bit more of a defensive AD item.
Slight buff as well on
Yep.
patch 6.1, an extra 3% damage reduction, I believe.
Nice bit of CDR as well, so
Yeah.
going to be at max, I believe, or very close to, probably with a couple runes helping out. Oh, with blue buff as well. And now Sin just wandering lazily into the bottom lane. Rymeister. We keep saying his name with good reason. He's just starting everything in this game.
Everywhere you see this Yasuo,
Nice
it
one.
impacts it positively.
Oh, hook. Strobella. Not really the target you want. Pops up the unbreakable wall. Oop, Juice tagged.
Do Legacy
Carbon
want
not
this?
going to go in this time. No, I don't think so. Carbon just chasing him out.
That is good. Forcing them that far back and being able to clear the wave potentially that far. If Sin all recall, Legacy have absolute control of the Baron area. And it's a very good time for them to reset, work around that Baron area, push out some waves so that they're in control, and look to get Sin out of position.
Well, we're going to start charging down mid lane now. Dragon is up in 30 seconds, but would be a bait more than anything else, either for the Baron or for a team fight. Rymeister charging back in though. He's got a wave to work with here. Finds 2. Doesn't take it.
No way. Rymeister should not be the one engaging these fights because he will die instantly to the burst of a Lissandra, Ezreal, and Varus. He needs to let Juves go first, either follow up the Juves knockup or look for his own entrance after Juves goes in because they've got that front line there.
Good blue steal. No, Juve secures it. I mean, definitely good to deny it from Legacy because no one in his team really needs it. That would have been great there for King to collect or Tally, but neither of them do steal away that buff. And around this Baron area, at a very crucial time, could make all the difference here. Major buffs are up. Yes, we're going to go ahead and solo the Dragon. This is just more pressure for Sin. This game, they know it's going to go quite late. It's already 37 minutes in. 7 minutes ago in Game 1, the game was done. And Legacy had chalked that one up.
There is a 100 CS difference almost between the mid laners right now. But look at the difference between top laners and AD carries from Legacy against Sin. And that is where the major contrast comes back and where this 2,000 gold lead is suddenly coming from. That far ahead on Lissandra, not long until full build, needs to make something happen.
Yeah. It's just been the fights that haven't really been going Legacy's way. And we've had a very subdued 5 minutes or so with both teams just trying to find the perfect angle for the fight. But something's going to break soon here. Buffs are up, pushes are starting. Rymeister again has no teleport. Tally does have Fizz, so he has to really make ground here.
This is not a situation where the teleport is actually of all that much substance, because he can 1 versus 1 that Tally, that Lissandra pretty simply.
Here comes the TP right from base, actually. This is going to mean Rymeister all the way out of position, charging with the home guards. Can't stop that one. And that's going to be broken mid in here.
He should be hitting the base. He's going to start hitting the turret now from the looks of it. Legacy can't recall. Sin are going to try and stop them.
We've got Choo-Choo's ult. That's it, 1 disengage ulti. Rymeister might just break here. Need to start hitting the recall button. Might be too late. Rymeister already chucking down the turret.
Rymeister could hit the base turrets if they don't recall. So they've got 2 members looking to address the issue. King.
Oh, King cancelled. Now Chippy's going to come in. That's a good flash out of the flavor. He needs to keep going. Juves is going to knock him up, and King doesn't really have anywhere to go. Polymorph is there. He will get popped, and he's dead to the burst of the Lulu. As now Strobella going to get called out. We'll put the shield up at Cardred. Plenty of damage as a hook lands in again. Rogue does find it. Now going to look for Choo-Choo's. Kicked out of the way there by Carbon. But Sin just continuing to apply pressure, and Rymeister is still in that base.
Rymeister's not going to stop because he can kill Tallywacker if he is not in position to deal with it. What were you doing, King? Recalling in the middle of the blue buff pit forces you to use your E over the wall. They knew you were there and has to flash straight away. It just dies.
Yep.
Such a big mistake.
Bad news there.
Choo-Choo's again.
Also caught out. Does have a flash. Does have to use it. Carbon here. Cardra going to follow. And this is easy pickings here for Sin. Rymeister going to charge his way in. Fancy's Veil will cancel 1. But there's a kill onto Choo-Choo's. Legacy are falling to pieces.
Stop recalling in situations, in positions that you will die in. You don't know if they have vision there or not. Why would you go back there?
Well, getting a little lazy perhaps, or just a bit greedy. But this is going to be a Baron by the looks of things over to Sin. Carbon is up, but he's going to a long way away. He's actually off to the side. Never mind. Looking for the steal. He actually kind of has to steal this. Q goes in. Rogue can't hook him. Windwall's there though. Carbon rides in. Looks for the steal. Condemned into the wall. Baron is low. Not quite there. And Lissandra does get a Tally. Finds the steal.
Carbon and Tally work together. Communication, because they stopped hitting the Baron at 1300 health. Carbon knew he had to try and get it lower, and so they coupled together to do enough damage to actually get it down. Watch the smite at the same time as Lissandra's E connecting. Really good from Legacy with communication to steal that. Unfortunate for Sin, as they had complete control, potentially the game from that Baron.
Well, the thing there maybe is that Legacy at least hold off what looks like a very terrible situation. Late into the game, he can't afford to make those mistakes. And again, it's Sin that are finding these opportunities. Legacy, we saw their aggression start to get punished towards that mid game. It feels like late game, that mentality is still there, and it's costing them.
No more laziness is forgiven. We've got a triple
Not this late, no.
lifesteal item build from this Ezreal. He should not be dying anytime soon. It entirely comes down to him being able to kite, so there's no forgiving mispositioning on King. Choo-Choo's is a no mobility champion. He gets less forgiven for bad positioning. It needs to be impeccable play from Legacy, or Rymeister will roll over them with this Yasuo.
We've seen exactly what he's been doing. Ignoring that Infinity Edge for now.
He won't get it.
Yeah, going for that Bruiser build, I guess.
Yeah. It's a split push build, going for the Trinity Force, opposed to an Infinity Edge. You can see his utility in teamfights is still very evident, but that's solely because he's got a Rek'Sai and Lulu to supplement his power.
And powerful he is. Level 18. 4 items strong. Like the boot choice there as well.
Yeah.
Bit of extra speed on the Alacrity. And Super Minion's going to get challenged here by Sin. Pretty easy to clear out for Van Yasalo. As far as late game damage goes, they have 2 pretty hard carries. And Lulu is not tickling, that's for sure, with 4 items also.
Yeah. Lulu doing a lot of damage, actually. Needs to be respected. And funnily enough, not being respected if you have a look at the item build. Sort of, I would say they're getting magic resistance now. Carbon's build was exclusively armor. Stopped to get magic resistance because of the damage that was coming
Tally
out.
goes in, flash in, huge ulti there with the 4-man, sorry, off the snare.
Dead.
But he's dead, has to ulti himself. Now Chippy's going to go down as Cardred. Barely misses being caught by the snare. Drews could be the next target there. Gets low, but face of the mountain might save him. Slow will miss, hook will land. And Legacy still chasing in. That was very close, as Chippy's is the only casualty.
Tally was less than a second away from being killed before he got his ultimate off. Of course, successfully does self-cast the ultimate, stays alive. Good work here from this Legacy lineup, looking for the pick and finding it successfully. Juves almost dying as well, gets out with his life. And now, the middle inhibitor dead. The minions pushing the top lane with Legacy. They can look to siege this difficult to execute, though, against Rymeister.
Yeah, they can't wait too long. Liz minions are going to do work in the bottom half of that lane. Jibbies is up in 20 seconds. Rymeister goes in. That's a little too deep. Finds the ulti there for the flow, but it's nowhere near enough.
That was desperate and dangerous from Sin. I'm not entirely sure what the communication was there. They probably could have defended this. Now that's 2 inhibitors down and 2 members down. Jibby's just spawning.
And this power play is quite long. 50 seconds till Rymeister's back. Cardred has to go massive. Goes straight into the team. Juves gets kicked up by Cardred. He's going to move in. Goes on the rampage as he takes out Braum. The teleport's coming back in though. Tally is very threatening and Juves, he's dead. Choo-Choo collects it. Now Tally gonna move in. Finds the ulti onto Rogas. Cardred zoned away. King looking for the 1v1 just out of bottom. Pops the blade of the rule kick. Cardred low, but Choo-Choo collects him. And that's game. Mistakes just cost Sin too much here.
It hit a point in the game where it was so late and you couldn't afford a single mistake. Sin make one and it costs them the entire game because that mistake snowballed again and again. Legacy 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 there, but the last game balanced on a knife edge. As Sin, a very respectable fight in that second game. Much cleaner draft, much better execution. Fell apart at the end, just towards the end, but you could tell that game, like you said, you get that late, that's all it takes is one.
Rymeister, he tried his absolute hardest to carry Sin through that game. Juice was a very good frontline tank, and the Lulu put in overtime, but in the end, that late into a game, you can't make a mistake.
Well, it was very intense. We are going to get a bit more, so we pop back over to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, guys. And that was a little bit closer this time around. Legacy, honestly, they got off to a flying start, but none of that mattered because Rogue and Rai just took over the map.
Ridiculous. Man, I love watching Rogue on Thresh. This guy looks so incredibly good. And Rymeister, I mean, we know what he's capable of on the Yasuo, but I'm looking at Cardred, like in these late game team fights, he tried to do what he could in that very last one, but before that, I feel like they could have been more out of the guy.
Yeah, they certainly could have, but we do have a replay of Rogan. You know, Destiny, this was a champion that you're actually pretty famous for over here, so take me through what this feels like to be able to put on moves like this.
Oh, this team fight was just beautifully played. There's just Sin at the moment. They've got lots of people on the bottom side of the map. They're going for a rotation here. Lissandra is just really pretty much caught out here. Rymeister is going for an aggressive play. So they're pretty much just going to siege this. He's going for the kill here. Now this is when things get spicy for Sin. You see a great use of the ultimate from Lissandra there by Tally. They've disengaged here, but they're going for a dive. Juves misses the knock-up here, but we see Carbon, beautiful in second to Rymeister there. The knock-up, they turn onto Juves, but as you see Legacy, they have Choo-Choo's on the flank. He's still poking them down, and then they're going to continually chase him down. A beautiful hook from Rogue there. He picks off Choo-Choo's, but they're not going to go on it because they're low. Rymeister out of nowhere. Beautiful dodging mechanics on Yasuo here. The knock-up, they catch out King. That was just beautifully played by Rogue. But yeah, that was just a trade pretty much in the end.
Yeah, and you see it, like he grabs the first hook, low cooldown on that, gets the second one, double flay into the knock-up, able to set up Rymeister, and that's what this game was about for the whole Sin lineup. It looked like, you know what, get Rai back on something that is a playmaker, that he can get around the rift, not something passive like the Ziggs, but you know, we called out Cardred a little bit. He got his vein, something a little bit more aggressive, but Atlas, you just weren't happy with his positioning.
No, and it seemed like there was a beautiful team fight early on, which I really wish that we could have a look at, but not going to at this point. He just was too late. He just didn't quite make it to the fight. Rogue had a brilliant engage, found fantastic hooks all over the rift, but it was a 4v5. They could not fully commit to it, and there was just no vein to be spoken of. And it's just a little bit of a shame because I have a feeling that could have been the turnaround that they were looking for.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. And, you know, the other thing that we want to look at is that how Legacy kind of played that late game. Legacy is a great team, but there were maybe some moments of overconfidence, especially with those recalls, Destiny, that you're looking at. They can't afford to make too many more of those mistakes.
Yeah, Sin in the end, I think they got a little bit overconfident, as you could see in the top end of the map when they overextended and Lissandra flanked them. In the end, I think Taliyuaka just took advantage of them. He honestly played a beautiful game with Lissandra, and Sin just didn't expect it.
Yeah, King got caught out. You know, Choo-Choo's got caught out. The one person that didn't was Tally. He went absolutely ballistic, and that means Legacy will pick up the 2-0. So that rounds us out for this day of League of Legends. As we take a look at the schedule and what's coming up ahead, it will be Hellions versus Avant, your team there, Destiny, rounding us off. But tomorrow, to open the night, is our first OPL Legend match. It's going to be Trident taking on the reigning champions, the Chiefs. That should be an absolutely massive game. Guys, just getting your quick thoughts on what should be a great game tomorrow.
Well, I'm excited to see what Trident can do on the Rift here for this particular game, because Trident are a team that we looked at with Impaired in the jungle, of course, Pac-Man there in the top lane as well, and it's the Young Mechanics group, formerly, of course, Legacy Genesis. These guys had a lot of expectations moving into the OPL, and we'll see if they can deliver.
Destiny, can they upset the Chiefs?
I think it's very possible. I think Impaired right now, he's playing very, very well. With the introduction of Beamer, he's been used to be a jungler back in the day for NV. He's had the competitive experience. I think they've got the shot calling, and I think they can maybe pull it off.
Well, there you go, guys.
Whoa.
6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. Will be Trident taking on the Chiefs, followed by Avant going up against Hellions. But that's all from us tonight. So thank you so much to Destiny for joining us. Thank you so much to the production crew, and we'll see you tomorrow.